What up, what up?
What's going on?
We are live. Whose mic is muted?
It's not mine.
Nobody is mic now. Mic. Mic. What up, Jim? Happy Valentine's Day, my brother.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Valentine's Day. Should be fishing. I'd rather be in Florida fishing, actually. With Jim. Jim, you could be my Valentine. Let's go to Florida and go fishing.
I would be scared of what Jim would do to you.
Jim also said Headwaters sucks right now.
Really? Yeah. How is that even possible? Like, how does Headwaters suck? It's a lake built for bass fishing.
He said it's shiner fishing season for the next 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
I want to... lightning, air temperature...
So we have some cool new technology we're going to show you guys tonight.
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe?
Oh.
Did it stop working?
No, it still works.
Oh, okay.
It's not what we wanted to do.
What's going on? Fishing for dollars. Welcome back, man.
Fishing for dollars. Thanks for coming back, brother. Right on point, too.
I know. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Happy to see you back. So we got a couple topics we're going to talk about tonight. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to school, and not the school that you hated in high school. We're going to go to the fun school, fishing school.
Can't drink beer at school.
You cannot.
At the school of bass and beer, you can.
You can. You just can't get caught. But so Paul's been doing some pretty neat stuff on his iPad. You look at him playing with it right now. The iPad. It is Valentine's Day, but he's still playing with the iPad. So what's going on, Russ? Russ with JCS Marine in the house. We appreciate you joining, brother.
What's up, Russ?
So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to look at a lake. Paul's going to look at a lake that I fished before and pick out some spots, and then we're going to kind of talk about it.
That was the hard part. I can't change the lake level, so being able to change the lake level.
Oh, okay. Can you just highlight everything that's 25 feet and deeper?
Let me see.
Because if you can do that, we'll be good to go. But so Paul's gonna pick some spots on a lake I know, and then I'm gonna tell him yes,
What's
no,
up,
maybe
Wes?
so. This is a spot that I fished. This is a spot
Thanks
I
for
haven't
joining,
fished.
brother.
Then we're gonna move into our next discussion, which is we're actually gonna get a little political up in here, mainly because the tariffs that's going on in the industry.
Not so much. It's somewhat political.
Yeah, it's not really political.
We ain't going to get too deep into it because what a rabbit hole that will be.
It will be.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about what the tariffs from China are doing on some of the fishing gear coming overseas.
Yeah.
And how you're going to see some prices change.
You're going to see prices change.
And what you can do to possibly avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
Buy American. Anyways.
And then we're going to get into the last topic, which is cheap lithium batteries. And we're talking like sub $400 lithium batteries. Primarily like your Amazon, like whatever the garbage that they make is. I say garbage, but we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about why you should consider it. And most importantly, why you shouldn't consider it because, Russ is in the house. And some of the things that Russ and John from JCS Marine have told me and Chad about lithium batteries is not something you really hear about. And a lot of it has to do with safety, which is actually really, really important. So we're going to get into that. Those are our three topics for the night, also based on whatever you guys bring to the table. So whatever your comments are, we'll get into all that stuff as well. So I think before we get started, because Paul's still playing with the iPad a little bit.
Yeah, give me a minute.
We bumped our technology up tenfold. Yeah. We're screen mirroring an iPad tonight, and that is next level in my opinion. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty neat. So it looks like next weekend. Okay, so next weekend are we going live or are we not going live from Hot Side of Anna?
It depends on our service because there's no Wi-Fi
there.
That's
right. Okay.
So unless somebody's got a hotspot we can pull off of for an hour.
The problem is even with the hotspot, the service is so bad down there.
Right.
Yeah. So it looks like next week
you
probably
would think it would
be
get
there.
better the more populated it gets, but it has not got there yet.
So it looks like we probably won't be coming at you next week, but the week after that, the 28th of February, we will be coming back at you with Ardent Reels.
I don't know, man. Something tells me that after a freaking trash can or two, we'll just go live from El Patron.
Well, maybe for a bit. But on the 28th, don't forget us on that one because we're going to have one of the pro staff members and who's also involved with the production and new product development from Ardent. You guys know I've been using Ardent forever.
He says Paul. What a great name.
It is kind of a good name, actually.
It's a fantastic name.
It's very to the point. You know what I mean? There it is.
Paul.
But anyway, so we're gonna talk with the gentleman from Ardent. I think that'll be a really good show. like I said, Ardent was one of the first companies I ever started using with for bass fishing. It's just, I don't know, man. Like they've always taken care of me whenever I've had problems. Their products are competitively priced, and especially the reels have been comparable to anything else I've ever used in terms of performance. Now, in my opinion, performance is cast distance. I mean, we're talking bait casting reels, like cast distance, drag smoothness, and like, does it last and does it operate as it's supposed to? And the answer is yes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a $200 Ardent Apex Grand is going to feel cleaner and smoother than a $600 Shimano, right? I think it's going to cast as far. I think the drags is good, and I think it's going to last you as long enough for you to fish with it and have a good time. I just, to me, that's what matters. I don't need to have the smoothest, nicest, most incredible bass fishing reel.
I actually think
ever.
My opinion on that is a higher quality reel is going to last a lot longer.
I feel as though a higher quality requires slightly less maintenance. In a sense, you know what I mean? They last longer. They don't need as much maintenance. Where like a lower quality, you better be cleaning that, oiling it.
Well, it depends.
Like if you look at like quantum reels, the biggest deal with quantum reels is when you got a bait.
Now you're good.
Okay. So like quantum reels, the biggest deal with quantum reels back in the day is if you had a bait that like pulled hard, like a big crankbait, like 6XD, 8XD, something like that, it would just fry the gears.
Really? Wow.
And that's where, and that's not just a quantum thing either. That's that's going to be that happens in a lot of reels.
Did the ratio, is that why they went with lower ratios for like big cranking reel, like 5-3 to 1? Did that help at all, or?
No, not really.
Really? You would think that would actually help, like from trying to be, like a Berkeley Dredger 22.5 with a 5-3 to 1.
It's probably even worse.
Really?
Because you're putting more torque.
Huh.
So the lower the gear ratio, the more torque you're putting on the gears.
Oh wow. Interesting. So I will say, like, as we get ready to pull up this map,
so to talking about the torque, that's a good point. Like, go catch a fish in heavy cover with like an 8 to 1, and then catch that same fish with a 6-3 to 1. It's a lot easier to get that fish out of that heavy cover with a 6-3 to 1 than it is an 8 to 1. 8 to 1 just lets you take up line really fast, but you can't put a lot of torque on the fish.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not a huge fan of like 7-3 to 1 is as fast as I'm going to go.
I don't know why, but I just compare everything to dirt bikes, and I just compare it to dirt bike sprockets.
I mean, it's similar. It is similar.
Go to like you're going to like a lower gear ratio. You just kind of you got more torque to pull them out. It's not as fast, but you got more torque to pull them out.
Yeah. So back to the fishing for $5 comment. I will say. Now it depends on what year. I started using Ardent back in like 2016, 2017. And the stuff that they have now is way, 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 way better than what they had back then. I would just my plug. I like them. I've been using them for a long time. I like the rods, but the problem with me with their rods is the selection. They don't have enough models.
Now
what?
Now,
they changed
a lot of components. I mean, an Ardent reel from 6-7 years ago is nothing like a reel today.
Because they'll be affected by the tariffs.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about how they've changed. I mean, if you go back and watch Denny Brower's old videos on YouTube with like Wired to Fish when he was making videos, because when we talked to him, he did talk about that a little bit, but like if you watch his old videos on Wired to Fish, his Ardent reels they don't look anything like what they have out now or what they've had out in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. That it really has changed quite a bit. I have Ardent reels that I purchased in like 2018, 2019. Now you got to clean them. You got to clean them every year, but I still have them in my rotation. They still work. They may not sound great, but they do work. So
they sound like they're about to blow to pieces.
Do us a huge favor if you're watching, everybody. It's Valentine's Day. Show us some love. Hit that like and share button. help get our live stream out to some other people. Hopefully, meet some new people like Fishing for Dollars.
Right.
Now, obviously, I don't think he can do that on YouTube, but my Facebookians, you know what to do.
I'm really annoyed that I can't highlight depth.
So, but yeah, that's just so we're pretty excited to talk to them on the 28th. I got a list of questions. If you guys have any questions for Arden that you want to be asked ahead of time, shoot them in the comments, and I'll try to keep up with them, and I will include them in my comments because I'm going to send them a list of questions this weekend. So if you have any, jot them down, and I'd love to get a chance to ask them. So that way we don't forget. Obviously, when you guys have questions, when we do have guests, we try to answer them as best we can as well.
All right.
Fishing for $1. Okay. So this is another good comment. I want to get to this before we go. So Fishing for $1 says, wasn't impressed with the customer service back then. All the Ardens I have are in pieces in the shop. Just seen them the other day. So I will tell you, and this is just my experience.
Their customer service.
Ooh, I'm kind of interested in that myself, Jim.
My experience with Arden's customer service has been the complete opposite, personally. But that's just my experience. And the story I'll tell you is last year I bought a 6'9" medium light for Demiki rigs. It might actually be a light. I don't know.
It's a light.
It was a light. It was a 6'9" light for like really little Demiki rigs, Ned rigs, strolling, stuff like that. Me and a buddy, we went out. We had a really good day. We were catching fish left and right with it. I mean, we found them schooling offshore. I mean, it was awesome. I boat flipped like 1.5 pound fish with that reel or that rod, and the rod broke. It actually broke in two places, like clean snap. I took pictures. Within I had a new rod at my door. No sending in the blank. No send us a shipping charge. It was just here's your new rod. Don't worry about it. Me? Oh, hold on. Technical.
Yeah, that's worse.
Okay, I think that's better. Sorry about that if I cut off, but definitely not saying that your experience isn't valid, buddy, because
Turn your mic volume up.
Could have been.
Maybe.
It could have been.
Huh?
I can barely hear Tony. Sorry.
Is it your mic volume?
No, mine's up almost halfway.
Oh, really?
Like I sound fine. Chad sounds fine.
I hear him loud and clear.
I don't know. But I'm sorry to hear that you had a bad experience.
It's the
It's
one
that one.
closest to you.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that you had a bad experience. I've had good experience for the most part. Actually, I've never had a bad experience with their customer service, but just my opinion, just my experience. I would say if you get bored, give them another try. You might be impressed.
If you get bored.
Yeah, if you get bored. Jim says he hears all of us good. Are we ready to rock and roll on this?
Not what we were going to do, but we have stuff to talk about.
All right, let's do this.
All right. We are going to go over to
So the
iPad here.
me and Chad were kind of talking today, and I had an idea that not a lot of people, there, especially anyone who's newer, really know how to read maps, and not necessarily read maps of it's 20 feet deep here, but what are we looking at on a map? So this is kind of Wingo Reservoir. This is just a local reservoir that we fish that me and Tony know really well, and looking at this map, like you see depths, right? But
might have to zoom in a little bit.
I'll zoom in a minute.
But it's like, what does this mean?
So
to
what
an
does
average
this mean?
person?
Like you can see that it's deeper here, it's deeper here, whatever. But to me, like I'm looking at this as structural elements.
Yep.
Like there are places on here that are going to hold fish. Like specifically on this one, I can see flats. I can see the main river channel. I can see a creek channel. I can see a point. So there's a lot of things on here, and this is Navionics. This is not the map that I normally use, so bear with me. I can see a lot of things on here that are fish holding structural elements.
Yep.
In general, maybe not all. Then it's not necessarily something that's going to hold fish at every time of the year, but there are structural elements here that at different points in the year on typical reservoirs and lakes are going to hold fish. So the first thing that I want to look at, and we can see if we're just looking at the map here, is a flat. And we all know that flats, tend to hold fish. That's where, they'll move up to feed pre-spawn. They'll move up in the summertime out of, from deeper water up onto the flats to chase shad. So how do you identify a flat? The biggest way to identify a flat is look at how many contour lines you have and how far they're spread apart. So I'm going to go right down here and we're going to see a flat. So let me zoom out of here a little bit here. Wish I could draw on the map for you.
Like John Madden.
So
this is where Brett Favre won the fishbowl, 1988.
And so this is your flat. So you can see that we have a really big flat here. And you can see that it drops off pretty quickly. It's pretty shallow up here. Drops off to like 10, 11 feet.
Kind of planes out after that. Yep. Oh, wait. Chad's going to try to draw on it while we do this.
That'll be fun.
So I think, and not to steal anyone's thunder here, but I think what this is an opportunity to do, right? Oh, there we go. That looks pretty good, actually. So if I'd never fished this lake before and I'm looking at flats and I'm thinking that fish are going to be on flats, the first thing I want to do is go to that. And I'm not going to start fishing. I'm going to go to it and put my side scan on or my 360 or whatever and just idle the whole flat and mark everything. There could be a rock pile. There could be some stumps. There could be an old bridge. There could be just laydowns or just general garbage that's in the water there.
You need to go back to the paint marker. There you go.
That one?
Yep.
It's hard to see.
Choose your size.
Okay.
I wish I could choose my size.
Right.
So this is what we're looking at right here. So this is a big flat.
Just from experience, I can tell you that that's about 600-700 yards. I mean, that's a pretty good size area.
So in this area, like Tony said, you're gonna want to go side scan because not all flats are made the same. Some flats may have chunk rock, some may be sand flats, some may be
pea gravel,
some may be grass.
Yep.
So, but this
Mud.
is the main thing with looking at maps is, well, this is going to be like, especially for like a new lake, like say I'm traveling to. I'm going to Wisconsin, right? So I'm going to look at the map and I'm like, oh, okay, so I want to check out, this spot, this spot, this spot. And it's just giving me starting points. So identifying structural elements are going to give you starting points on a new body of water. So
I think a lot of people think that structure is like a thing on the bottom, right? Like a rock, a tree, a stump.
That is cover.
Correct. A lot of people don't realize that structure is, like he's saying, like a contour change.
I even still confuse that shit. I just look at it and I'm like, there's a bunch of structure.
So the easiest way to remember that is structure is the bottom. Mm-hmm. Cover are things on the bottom.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Right. So rocks would be structure.
Rocks would be cover.
Cover.
Really?
Yes.
The bottom is just structure.
So the bottom.
What if mud, sand,
structure,
no matter
structure,
what, structure.
all structure.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like so it's that's cover. Their contour lines are your structure. So how the bottom is shaped is the structure. Does that make sense? So if
yes.
So we're looking like over here, over in this area. See how it drops off into the main river channel. That's a structural element. It's drop off. If there was a boulder here, that would be cover because it's not part of the drop off. It's
So
just
any
a big
rocks,
big old
laydowns,
rock.
logs, anything that's covered.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all cover.
Okay.
Grass, cover. So
Back to school, boys.
So back to looking at our map here. Let's clear this out.
Habitat. I think the water's the habitat.
So
I don't know.
what do other things we just talked about the main river channel. So just looking here, we can see where the main river channel runs. So the main river channel actually runs right here.
Mm-hmm. And
down
certain maps will actually have like a dotted line that is your river channel. This one doesn't seem to have it.
You have a secondary channel here.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually deeper on the secondary channel.
It is.
Yep. Well, that's a lot of because of silting and stuff like that.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. But anyway, you have your main river channel. It kind of splits into there's like a big island up here. Other structural elements you want to look for. Points. Well, what's a point? Well, a point is a structural element that comes off the land. So I'm going to zoom in on a point as soon as I find it again. There we go. So this is a point. It's not a very big point, but it's a point. You can see that you have very tight contour lines coming up to that.
The point's actually more defined than the land. What you would think of as a point, as the land that comes to a point. The underwater structure is actually more defined than the point on the bank.
Want to know something funny? You don't have to have a point on the land to have a point under the water.
That's true, 100%.
Absolutely.
So you can have a point that's created from current. Let's see if I can find another point here real quick.
That's actually another big thing about structure too. Is when we talk about current, is that contour will affect current big time. So that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind too.
There's another point. We have a point coming off that island. So big point there.
Yep.
Notice you can also have structural elements within structural elements. Because what do you have on top of that point? Based on what we talked about just a few minutes ago.
A flat.
There's a flat on top of that point. So this is a big flat
Right. So
point.
this whole area
Is a flat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And anybody who knows Conowingo, like that's nothing secret. That's a big grass flat.
Yep. So you have cover within two structural elements, and so that, like, to me, that's a high percentage area, right? So
Deep water you have deep water on the sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
and it is a high percentage area. I mean, there's a lot of fish caught there every year if the grass is there, and even if not, you get a lot of pelagic fish that'll pull up in that area too.
Now, on to our next structural element and how to identify it. So if you notice right here, you have deep water that comes up in concentric rings.
A hump.
I'm going to zoom into here. That's a hump. So notice we can see here that this gets 6 foot, 8 foot on top.
And then you have another one just off to the left. That's a different structural element too.
Yep, we're getting there. So this is a hump. This is just a big, out in the middle of nowhere. You have a depth change. All of this is relative to depth change. All structure is relative to depth change. So tight contour lines, sharp drop.
Yep.
Or sharp, it's a sharp drop at some point, whether you're going toward the bank or away from the bank. Wider contour lines, like we see here, less depth change. So, for example, right here, you can see that we have a long space in between these contour lines. So that means it's a very gradual increase.
Or up at the top.
Right here, you'll see that it's very tight contour lines. Very tight contour lines means it comes up really fast and then it kind of rounds off. So
Your slope is going to be much steeper.
Yep.
Yeah, so essentially, I'm going to draw a little picture on here. This comes up like this, and then tapers off into your point, and then it starts to taper back down, and then it drops off real quick. So imagine this as from here to here. Notice one side drops off a little faster than the other, tighter contour lines than over here. So it's probably more like this. Kind of that shape. That's what you're looking at under the water if you were looking.
If the lake dried up and you were looking in front of you.
Yeah, if you were like down here and you were looking straight in front of you from left to right, you would have a gradual slope coming up and then a sharp drop off on the right.
Where are you at? Oh, he's Springfield,
Missouri, Oklahoma,
Springfield?
somewhere out there.
That's freaking cold for out yonder, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So this is a hump.
You say he got snow. They're probably freaking out over there.
Yeah, for real.
We got snow like 2 days ago.
Whenever you see concentric circles, it's one of two things. It's either a hump or a hole.
Yep.
So this is a hump. Zoom in on this a little bit. And then this is a depression. So right here, you have a depression.
That's a deep hole.
And it's just your contour lines are going in reverse. So how do you know that? You just have to look at your depth. So this is navionics, and navionics kind of sucks, but that's essentially going down.
Give me a beer, please.
All right, so we've identified holes, we've identified humps, we've identified points, and we've identified river channels and flats. So that's kind of your main structural elements that you're going to find on any lake. So why do you, or what do you start with? What's the, if I'm going to start somewhere on a lake, what do I want to look at? Well, a lot of that depends on the time of year.
And the bait.
Depends on the predominant forage. Valentine's talk, humps and holes.
The forage depends on fish positioning.
So the forage.
Doesn't most forage bait?
Bait is forage.
I know that. Doesn't it do most of... I feel like most bait does the same shit.
It does not at all.
So
actually.
there's some bait.
Okay, so
different.
see, this is why we're going back to school for everybody.
So you'll have some bait that is completely pelagic. We were talking about alewives earlier. Mm-hmm. Very pelagic, deep water. They're going to be very, very deep, 50, 100 feet, and they'll stay in that depth range. Not necessarily, they're not going to be at that depth range, but they're going to be related to that depth range, the very deep water. You see that a lot in like New York.
We got Big Dustin in the house. What's up, brother?
Yes.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, absolutely, Dustin. Wind's a factor. That's going to be more like day of. I'm talking more of like, I've never been to this lake before. I'm looking at a map. So I'm trying to get some starting points. And wind will be a factor on the day. When I show up at the lake and I see, I have my 4 or 5 spots and I see the winds blowing from the west, I'm going to focus on areas because of the wind. But we'll talk about that in a minute. That's less to do with map study and more to do with
fishing.
Patterns.
All right. So bait, the predominant bait in the fishery. You have to know how that bait behaves and what kind of water that bait likes to be in. Depending on the time of year, that can be different. Threadfin are very migratory. They're going to move back into creeks. Gizzard shad, very migratory. They're going to move back into creeks when it gets cold.
And spawning fish are just going to move.
Summertime, they're going to be out in the middle. Alewives, kind of out in the middle all the time.
All fish spawn.
Yeah, shad spawns.
Yeah. Just different
that you can
places.
look at. Some fish, some shad like to spawn on grass and shallow cover, like gizzard shad. Some of them like to will spawn deep. So you have to know your bait.
Important thing to remember too when it comes to bait is that, let's say you have a lake,
bluegills, completely different.
So I was going to say, like, just because your lake is a gizzard shad lake doesn't mean that there's not magical times a year where bass, particularly largemouth, are on bluegill spawns.
Bluegill spawns are always good. Doesn't matter what kind of lake it is. You can have a billion gizzard shad in your lake and they're still going to eat bluegills. Another good thing about looking at these maps, not just finding starting points, but also learning the layout of the lake so you don't get lost or stuck. Absolutely, Jim. That's one of the things that I look at.
Oh.
That's one of the things that I look at. One of the first things I look at is just trying to figure out like where I can run around, right? But as far as fishing goes, I like to start on points. Like if there is a
stuck or worse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Or knock off a lower unit because you hit
punch
a rock
a
pile.
hole in your boat. Todd, we got Todd Rana in the house. Thanks for joining, brother. Glad to see you.
Rainbow smelt. Yeah, that's another good one. I don't know a ton about
Wait, what
smelt.
is rainbow smelt?
It's a bait fish.
Okay.
I've never researched them that much because I've never really fished a lake that's the predominant forage.
After we get off this, I do have an interesting 5-second topic.
What we
That
can
brought up a good comment.
So what we can establish here is like our starting points. Points are always good.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't matter it really doesn't matter what the predominant forage is. Points are generally going to hold fish. Yes, Dustin, absolutely. South facing banks.
What's going on, John? Thanks for joining us.
Brother.
So
thanks for this hoodie, man. Freaking love this hoodie.
So if we find a
very
point,
comfortable.
let's find a good point here. If there is a good point. It's kind of wingo. There aren't a ton of good points here. Traditional, like easy to spot points anyway. So here's one. So this point actually comes off of this creek. This is one of those ones that me and Tony were kind of talking about, right? Like where you're not necessarily able to see it on the bank, but you can see it on a map. So can I see that? So right here we have a point.
That's a dick.
Sorry, I'm a child.
I mean, right. I saw it before it was even finished. That's how bad it is.
So right here, you have a point. So, this is one of the spots that I'm going to look at to start because points are good multiple times throughout the year. They're good in the pre-spawn. They're good in the fall. They're good in the summer. They hold fish, through multiple times a year. So that's a good starting point. And that's one of the things that I look for when I'm doing this map study is I want to find a place that, okay, this is an area that should hold fish kind of year round. So by looking at this,
that's a pretty interesting point.
Yeah, it's hard to see. Mm-hmm. But it's there. It comes off of this flat.
And there's fish on that too all the time. But they move. That's the other thing too. Is these tips they get you in areas that have fish, right? And that's the thing too.
And that's what we want to do. Like we're talking about this as if I've never been to this lake before. So this is one of the spots I'm like, okay, I see this on the map. Yeah, I'm going to check out this. I love fishing offshore. This is one of the spots I'm going to check. This is one of the spots I'm going to check. I love my offshore fishing. Other areas I might check. We have some creek mouths. Here we got a major creek here. So major creeks are, those are always going to hold fish.
Yep.
Any of your major tributaries always will hold fish. So this is Broad Creek. We all know Broad Creek always holds fish.
It does.
So
I think another thing to talk about while we're talking about this structure and the
move my iPad
differences in structure too is, yes, you also have to think about the forage in the lake, but you also have to think about what you're fishing for specifically too, right?
Yeah.
So
smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass,
right?
Because they don't relate to structure the same.
Yep.
Oh,
I got it.
Did you X out of that?
No. I don't know if it was Chad or me.
No, it was whatever I just did. But hey Trent, how you guys doing? We did very good at Lake Anna. We will be heading back down there actually next week. We're going to be going back down to Lake Anna. We're fishing the hot side of Lake Anna though. We're not on the cold side. Some giant bags have been being caught out on the cold side though. Did they hit the 40-pound mark on the cold side?
No, it was like 38.
38 for 5 bass. 38 pounds for 5 bass.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Caught out on the cold side about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, again, we're just looking at starting spots. So I'm looking
Martin,
for those.
what's up, brother?
I'm looking for those structural elements, depth changes, drop offs, humps, things like that. Here's another one. It's springtime. Probably going to focus on this little area right here. This is like your stereotypical 45-degree bank, which is generally a good spot in the springtime.
I feel like a bank like that develops from current too. The type of current that you have that goes through there.
Yeah. Pretty much all of your structural elements are going to be related to the river channel or creek channel in some way.
And on a place like this too, like a lot of like rivers in general, they change, the contours change a lot because of silt and floods and things like that. So
Again, these are just starting points. I'm just trying to point out like how to get some starting points when you're going to a new lake, because going to a new lake can be intimidating.
How
right?
to identify fish holding structure and cover.
Exactly. Just the main reason that I brought this up was because I like to fish new lakes, and doing this breakdown is what I love. That's my favorite part, just breaking down a new lake, and it's intimidating if you don't know what you're looking for. To go to a new lake that you've never, brand new lake, you've never been there before, to go there and be able to catch fish, you have to know what you're looking at. And that's what I'm trying to point out here, is just so you know what you're looking at. So we have like a 45-degree bank. I'm not going to get like too much into like when you should fish certain types of structure. You can find a billion YouTube channels on that.
We'll talk about it eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, 45-degree bank. We got another creek channel here.
The old Glen Cove. Can't go wrong with Glen Cove sometimes. Shh.
You got another creek
I
channel
thought
here.
you were going to hit me in the head with that bottle.
So,
They're not in there.
why are we looking at creek channels? Well, creek channel, these aren't necessarily creek channels. Well, they're kind of they are creek channels, but I'm looking at these not necessarily from like a creek channel perspective, but it is like, this is a wintering spot. Why is this a wintering spot? Because it's out of the current.
yep.
And anytime you have current, like we do on, this is a power plant or a power generation lake. So you're going to have current. Fish in the wintertime do not like current.
Yep. Regardless of the species.
No, absolutely not.
Largemouth
Very,
especially.
very lethargic in the
So they're
wintertime.
gonna-
They don't want to fight current.
They're going to do everything they can to get out of the current. So, you have your time of year again is going to affect when a certain spot is going to be your starting spot.
Trent, did you guys catch any rockfish when you were on the private side down there? Now, I feel now is June's is that tough fishing in the summertime on the hot side?
I mean, I'm sure you can catch them, but the water's like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
So here's another point. This is just a very slopey point. Nothing crazy there. You can go through here and you can find some humps. We can find some humps that are related to the bank. We can find some offshore humps. We have a good defined river channel here. So you can see that it drops off. You can see those close contour lines, again, dropping off. You can also see here that you have a little bit of a valley that runs into this, right?
That's finer detail to think about, that's a valley.
Yeah. So,
I think most people are just going to look at that and think, 9 feet to 42 feet.
right. So, but we can see that these deeper contour lines kind of move in toward that flat, right? Mm-hmm. So anytime you see these deeper contour lines moving in, that you got a little bit of a ditch there. So this is kind of a ditch running up to this flat. So main river channel out here, you have a ditch running up into this flat. That's a high percentage area. Fish are going to use this to move from out here up to here. Again, different times of the year, but that's going to be a good spot to look at.
The Sammy is
Nice.
juice. The Sammy is juice.
Yes, rockfish and stripers are the same thing. We call them stripers around here.
You guys caught a 5-pounder when you were down there? All right.
Nice.
That's a
good one.
That's a great fish. Yeah, 54 fish. That's great. Texas rig. Can't go wrong with throwing a Texas rig. Were you throwing a worm or a creature bait? What were you doing?
So again, the main point of this little segment here was just to kind of show you what different structural elements look like. Notice them on the map. Now, I zoomed out a little bit. Notice how you can see that little gut a lot easier when I zoomed out versus when I'm zoomed in like this. So sometimes you don't necessarily need to. You don't necessarily want to zoom in all the way. If you back out a little bit, you can kind of see how those contour lines build that structure. So here's another. Here, this is just a little hump. Here's another little hump.
Silver and red.
Here's your main channel drop off.
If you go up to that, if you go up right there to that point, that main river point, that's almost, there's not really ledges on Conowingo, but that one almost looks like a ledge in a way.
So if I'm looking for a ledge, this is a ledge. Right here. I'm trying to click. So here's like your stereotypical ledge, like right here. That's a river ledge. So you see how you have that flat that comes out, and then it drops off into the main river channel. That's your ledge. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking like Tennessee River ledge fishing, like that's the kind of stuff you're looking for. You're looking that's coming out, very, very gradual, boop, drops right off.
Yep.
But it's obviously it's another place where you move up a little bit farther, you have what looks like a deeper flat.
What comes into, so this is the main river channel where you can see the main river channel cuts in close to the bank here. Channel swings are never a bad thing. So this is essentially as much of a channel swing as we get on Conowingo. Right here, where that main river channel cuts in close to the bank.
It gets a little crazy up farther.
Oops.
Up in the rocks, anyways.
So if we go up here, it actually gets less crazy because you don't have as many contours because it's more of a constant depth.
Yep.
Just boulders everywhere.
Yes. So you have boulders all over this.
And that you have that channel right there where the Hawk Point overview.
Which channel?
What's this point up here? All this up here.
Oh, over here.
Yeah, what's all this nastiness?
So that's the main river channel. So that's where it comes down through.
Gets really deep there again, right?
It's like 100 feet deep there.
Yep. Where is the discharge at on?
Right here.
It's right there. Yep.
So you can see it gets deep there, 111 feet. Gets deep up here. This is all main river channel. And then you have stuff coming off the main river channel. This is more river fishing up here. Down here where we're looking at, it's more lake fishing.
Yep.
So, different, very, very different.
It's all still man-made current, though.
Yes.
I also left this on here. Sorry about that. So, again, use your maps as a starting point. You're going to have to learn where fish are going to be different times of the year. So, that comes down to understanding fish movement. Where do the fish winter? Where do they go to spawn? Where do they summer? Mm-hmm. They're going to use these structural elements at different points during those transitions. So from wintertime, they're going to be one structural element. Pre-spawn, they move to another structural element. Spawn, another structural element. Post-spawn, another structural element. Summer, another structural element. Fall, another structural element. So it's all about fish movement.
Yeah, Jim, I wish we could blow it up to make it a little bit larger, but...
Is that better?
Well,
I can always zoom in.
It would be great if we could just... What if we could
How about that? There you go.
What if we could just, like, set up a camera and just have, like, a 120-inch projector screen, just, like, videotape that?
I made it a little better. So...
Oh, God, how'd you do that?
I just turned it landscape mode.
Oh, God. Perfect. That's way better.
So again, structural elements are keys to catching fish. That could be a ditch, that could be a hump, that could be a depression, a point,
a beer.
A beer. These things exist everywhere. It's just how you're going to relate them to your fishing. So we will get into that another time and look at how to break down certain specific structural elements, why you would fish there. Again, other things that, like Dustin mentioned, wind can have a big effect on where you're going to fish. If you have wind blowing across a point, that is generally a good thing. But it can be a bad thing too, especially on a body of water like this where you have man-made current. Because if that wind's blowing the wrong way across that point, it can stall the current.
Yeah.
So
and different depths too. Like a place like this where you have a fluctuating depth. I mean, that if you've been catching fish in 5 foot of water and you go to that flat now and that flat's in 2 feet of water, those fish may not be there. So that's important to remember too.
What's up, Lil John?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you have to, you have things to think about when you're fishing these, your conditions, which is going to include weather.
Oh yeah.
That includes water level. So lots of stuff there to think about. And it may sound like we're talking about a lot, but if you want to be able to be successful and go to a new body of water, be able to break it down, be able to catch some fish. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going to go
You're not
to a
going to
brand
go
new
out
lake
there
and
and
go and
freaking
smash
wreck
them.
it, but you need to have a general understanding of the body of water that you're going to go fish.
Exactly.
You need to understand how to look at a map, how to look at your graph and break down contours, and basically structure. And then you're gonna find your cover on your structure.
And the most important thing is when you do go to a new place and let's say you're fishing all this structure and you catch one on a point. Okay, well now you know. Okay, well let me look at my map and see what other points that look like this.
Yeah.
And similar depth and similar bottom contour change. That's how you really start to pattern stuff. Or it could be a cover deal. Sometimes it's a cover deal. Sometimes
it may tell you that that's not a pattern too.
Yep.
So if I catch a fish on a point and I see, okay, there's 3 more points just like this, and I go fish those other 3 points and I don't catch a fish,
that's not the deal.
That's not the deal. I need to start looking at something else.
I gotta
That's
say,
trial and
I
error.
do. I also think this isn't like a great way to learn, but go to a place that you see has contours. Go out there, and one of the things that I've done that's taught me to learn what's on the bottom, what the structure is on the bottom. Go out there and throw a deep diving crankbait. Go throw a 3/4 ounce jig and just drag it on the bottom.
You can do it that way.
You will learn what those contours are just by feeling your bait go along the bottom. You'll feel what kind of structure you're on. If you have a hard bottom, if you have a soft bottom, if you have chunk rock.
So yeah, or you can use your electronics.
Yeah.
If you have that option. If you don't have that
Obviously,
option,
electronics will show you if you have a harder bottom and whatnot. But there's another element to throwing a bait and actually feeling what you're dragging it through.
So side scan is huge.
Right.
So the one of the most powerful tools on your boat, if you have
Is the bullet wet?
No.
Bullet hasn't been wet yet, Trent.
Too much ice. Weather sucks.
Bullet's going to get wet at Lake Anna this week.
Yep.
So I think we're heading down on Thursday. That's where the bullet's going to get wet, and that's where shit's going to get wild.
So
I'm really scared.
So with
We're
your
not
side
even there
scan,
yet.
you should be like if you side scan an area, one of these structural elements, you should have a perfect picture of what that bottom is before you even make a cast. That's what the importance of side scan is. When you get good with side scan and you get good with recognizing what you're seeing on side scan, you don't have to make a cast. You can literally just scan through, know exactly what the bottom looks like, and then know if that's what you're looking for or not, right? So if I go through, say I'm looking for grass, and I'm like, okay, well, let me scan this area of the lake. I'm going to see if there's any deep grass. So let's say I'm on Oneida, and I'm scanning for grass in like 15 feet. If I go through that area with side scan, like I don't need to throw a bait, because if I'm just going to look at side scan, and if I don't see grass, I'm out. Right. I'm just going to go to another area and I'm going to, look for what I want. Or, that might be rock. I may be looking for rock. If I'm looking for, say it's a sandy point and I'm looking for hard spots, I can see that. If it's rock piles, I can see that.
I just think you learn more specific details when you have bait contact. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. There's another way to refine things by going to that structure and throwing a bait on it, and you can learn more about that structure as you fish it.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay, that's fine to disagree, but
I think it's the opposite.
Oh, you missed it. Your buddy Oliver Nye's on. Just checking. Just liked it.
Oliver, thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just feel as though that taking a bait out to a flat, taking it out to contour structure, taking a deep crankbait, and obviously you can see the contours, you can see that structure, you can see that it's hard bottom on your sonar and everything. But taking a bait and actually running it across that.
That's how they used to do it.
That's how a lot of people used to do it. That's how they used to find things. But you learn things differently through that.
That's why they don't do it anymore either. That's why that's not their typical way for learning what the bottom is.
Well, they have faster ways now.
Right. Side scan.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying there's a different element as well.
I mean, really, it's all in what you can. If that's the best way for you to learn, then by all means, just do that. For me,
right,
I can know, like, if it's a flat and I spend 10 minutes scanning it, I can know exactly what I can paint a picture of that entire flat.
Right.
And what's on, the cover that's on the bottom. There's grass up here. There's a boulder here. There's a lay down here. I can tell you everything that's on that flat with, a say 500-yard flat. Mm-hmm. I can tell you everything that's on that flat in 10 minutes.
Right. I guess maybe that's a little bit more of the old school nature of not having
right. Yeah,
live scope and all that. Now this is just side scan, which I do have side scan.
But you're not used to using side scan.
Yeah, I don't use it a ton.
Like, you just really got side scan.
Basically, yeah.
So the more you use it, the more you'll realize, like, oh, I don't need to throw my bait here because I know what it looks like. I'm definitely
still in tune with learning about where I'm fishing by feeling through my bait. I definitely.
Well, I think part of that's because of where we fish.
That gives me confidence too.
A lot of part of that's where we fish. I mean,
yeah, absolutely, Jim. I mentioned that if if you don't have side scan or if that's just better for you, maybe you don't get to use side scan enough to really know what you're looking at, because some of these things can be really tedious to learn on side scan. Yeah. Like if you're
takes a lot of time. Say
you're just looking for hard spots. You can scan and scan and scan and scan. If you don't know what you're looking for, you'll never see it because it's not obvious. Right. It's just a color change on side scan. So you're scanning. It's light, it's kind of a darker blue.
Softer.
Gets a little bit lighter blue and then goes back to the darker blue. Like, that's your hard spot.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing you really saw other than a color change on side.
So basically, to anybody that might not understand, when you're looking at your colors on your bottom, your darker colors, your black, and as it starts to get to a brighter color, that's your hardness changing. So you could have mud bottom, and then it could be going to a rock point. When it gets to that rock point, you're going to see that color change because the sonar waves or whatever have a better reflection off of the rock than they do the mud.
So you get a brighter return.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that bright return is always harder structure than your darker colors.
Oh, that's right.
For whatever color palette you decide to use.
Jim broke down and got himself some forward-facing sonar.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Jim, have you used it yet?
He has not.
Oh, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
I mentioned to him that
he's going to get pissed off watching all of them follow his glide bait.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. You're going to want to throw it in the water the first time you see a 10-pounder follow your glide bait.
It's wild because I don't care what you do. Like, every fish follows a glide bait when you throw it in there. They're not always going to freaking eat it, but they're going to follow it.
Alabama rigs the same way.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of that.
Ton of followers.
They're going to follow it, and it's going to drive you insane. Especially when you see that big fat chunk come off the bottom.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because like you'll catch a fish on and it'll be, say it's like a 1.5 pound, 2-pound fish, and you saw like how big that dot was that ate your bait. And then you throw that glide bait, and like a blob that's like half the size of your screen comes up to it, and then just swims back down.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's super
frustrating.
I don't know.
Super unfortunate.
I don't know if Oliver is still watching, but if you're still watching, Oliver, I need to send you an email. You sent me your email at one point, and I just never got around to shooting you an email. I gotta send Oliver an email. It'd be great to have him come on here.
Oh yeah,
talk about some of his adventures and
Yeah,
whatnot.
absolutely.
So I have a mini topic, and
right, what do
this
you
is
got,
like
Frank?
a 5-minute mini topic, but like
Let's hear it.
I watched a video last night that Brian Latimer posted, and
B-Lat.
his videos are really
like
cool,
B-Lat.
man. But he posted
He's
one.
very personable.
Oh yeah, he posted one yesterday, and it was
Super nice guy.
him and some guy down on the Flint River in Georgia catching these damn things called shoal bass.
Yes.
And I'm watching this whole video, and I'm like, this is really, really cool to watch. And I'm just like, how is this not a smallmouth?
It's a shoal bass. It's a different species.
But like, it looks exactly like a smallmouth. Like
not
okay, so the belly's definitely white.
Yeah.
That's the
There's some
biggest thing. But like,
there's some differences.
The
Like, when you
vertical
get
patterns, the mouth size is like the same size.
So they tend to not have as many bars.
Okay. Is it like more blotchy kind of thing? Or?
They'll have so shoal bass will have like, instead of like a smallmouth has like 7 or 8 bars going down the side, a shoal bass will have like 3 or 4,
Okay.
and the bars are typically wider. But again, coloration very similar to a smallmouth. Jaw, I think the jaw is different.
Okay.
So the jaw length is different, and I think the dorsal spines. There's a different number of dorsal spines as well.
Yeah.
So it is like it's a completely different species. There's actually we always that's a really good topic that you brought up. We weren't going to talk about this tonight, but let's go into it a little bit.
Come on.
Do you know how many species of bass there are in the U.S.?
There's like 10, right?
There's a lot.
So
So you have shoal bass, you have Guadalupe bass, you have
They're probably not even all on there.
technically you have 2 different species of largemouth. Florida strain largemouth they've found is a different species.
They do have shoal bass on there.
What are some other ones that are out there?
red-eye bass,
Red-eye bass,
the Alabama spotted, the northern
Alabama spotted. There's a Kentucky spotted.
I mean, rockfish and hybrids are technically freaking bass.
They're
the
not.
Florida
Well,
largemouth.
hold on. Rockfish and hybrids and white bass are bass.
Right.
Bass are not technically bass.
Yeah, bass are technically sunfish.
Yeah,
Which is even funnier.
They are in
What?
the sunfish family.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Shut up.
Yeah, Martin
not
says they got
true
5-pound shoal bass in Georgia. It was a pretty neat video because I was watching it.
Bunker bass?
Where's this? Rock bass, white perch,
It's
Roanoke
from
bass.
Roanoke bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all sea bass.
What's a yellow bass?
They have
So
those in like
a
the,
yellow bass
south
is
and
a
stuff.
smaller species similar to white bass.
A white perch is considered a bass?
No.
A sea bass.
White bass and white perch are 2 different things.
Yes, but a white perch is still
But
in
this
that
is
sea bass
freshwater bass of North America.
So a striped bass and a white perch are more closely related than a striped bass and a largemouth bass or a smallmouth bass.
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah, that's wild.
But anyway, I'm watching this video last night, and these guys, they were fishing similar to how you would fish, like if you were on like the Juniata River or
just creek
something.
fishing.
Yeah, they're just like little river fishing for these things. I'm like, this is how you smallmouth fish. Like,
Yeah.
this to me looks so much like smallmouth fishing, and I'm just like,
Yeah, same thing.
like if you didn't like. If I wouldn't have heard them calling it a shoal bass, and I'm watching them fish, and I'm just like watching this video, I was like, oh wow, they're really catching smallmouth.
So I caught a couple Guadalupe bass in
Do you
Texas.
catch cichlids in Florida, Jim?
The invasive ones.
I mean, they're all invasive, but they're really pretty colors.
Let's pull this up real quick. Species of bass.
Are Guadalupe bass the ones that are in like the Sabine River? Is that why they don't get that
No,
big?
Those are largemouth.
They're largemouth. Are they Florida largemouth or largemouth?
Largemouth.
You catch like African cichlids and I think they have like South American cichlids.
Yes. Africans are like, well, African cichlids are from Lake Malawi.
Africans are very aggressive, and then South American you have like tiger oscars.
Yeah, they're not as aggressive.
Oh, look, I found your exact poster.
Hey,
Nice.
That's a cool poster.
19 species of bass, according to Bassmaster.
Interesting.
So let me see if it gives us a list.
But still, the rock bass holds the record for the bass that you yeet the farthest when you catch it in a tournament.
The bass that you eat.
No, that would be spots in
Yeet.
Texas.
Oh. Are they Alabama spots in
Yeah,
Texas?
they-
Oh, that sucks. Well, you're supposed to kill them, right?
No.
Oh, really?
A big one, like down there, like a giant, is like 3 pounds.
Really?
I think the record's like 5 out of Rayburn.
So it says Wichita spotted bass, which is not on the poster, I'm just reading it, is thought to have hybridized itself into extinction and is no longer considered a viable subspecies because of the Alabama bass. Now, I'll tell you, when you go to Virginia, and there may be these signs at Lake Anna, but if you go to Virginia to fish, there's signs everywhere that say, if you catch a spotted bass, like, kill it. Do not throw it back. Because the Alabama spots are gigantic pack feeders, and they will decimate forage and outcompete largemouth.
Here you go. So there are 9 recognized species of black bass. The Alabama bass, Florida bass, Guadalupe bass, largemouth bass, red-eye bass, shoal bass, smallmouth bass, spotted bass, and Suwannee bass.
I don't see... I do see Suwannee bass up there.
Those are the 9 recognized, according to an article from 2018.
Interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, Florida bass are now officially recognized, IGFA recognized.
Where's the Suwannee bass?
It's the one in the middle.
Martin says he'll take chain pickerel for 500. As far
Looks
as
like a small bass.
Oh, as far as yeeting it?
yeeting them.
I think you should yeet blue catfish. I think you should just, like, throw them up on the bank, man.
I think the red-eye bass looks cool.
A lot of the blue catfish that I caught on the flats last year were too big to yeet.
Yeah, it's true, too.
I could not eat them.
I remember I was fishing with
Tony
Bob.
could probably eat them, but not me.
I was fishing with Bob Murphy one time, and he caught this. He hooked one of the biggest blue cats
Depends
I've
on
ever
the
seen.
rod.
Yeah, one of the biggest blue cats I've ever seen, and this thing like did a tail dance like a dolphin, and it smacked its head up on a piling, and it was like the most. It sounded like a baseball bat hitting a ball. Just dong. It was like resonating. I was like, holy shit, dude! Like it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. But yeah, that was a nice little detour.
Yeah. There's way more species of bass out there than what we're used to. You know, we're used to here we largemouth, smallmouth.
We catch we catch like 3 different species. We catch freaking some rock bass every once in a while.
Yeah, and we know spotted. We know
largemouth.
about spotted bass, but
Martin says he has the fish bat.
Hurricane
fish bat.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen was me and Buckland were in a Thursday nighter probably 2 years ago, and when we were all fishing in a grass flat, and some dude caught a snakehead on a kayak, and we watched him catch it, and we went back to fishing, and all you heard from behind it was ting, 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 ting. I was like, damn, I guess he got it. It was just the most recognizable sound in the world. You knew exactly what it was.
Cracking that thing with a bat.
Oh yeah.
Any more beers in there, Tony?
Yes.
Yeah, there's Bud Lights in there.
So the next topic I want to talk about, and this is where we're going to get semi-political, but not really, is with the tariffs that are coming.
Tasers work on.
Nice. Damn. So with the tariffs that are coming,
just don't hold it in your hand.
So what we found out today, and I sent a Facebook post to Tony from Ardent.
Yep.
Specifically, knowing that Tony uses a lot of Ardent stuff, that the bulletin that they sent out basically said, due to the tariffs that have been placed on China, due to those tariffs, their prices are going up, and they can't afford to absorb those prices, so they're going to have to raise their prices.
They're a smaller company.
10%.
That's a lot.
Is that what it was?
I think it was 10%.
Yeah, I don't think it said in the.
Did it?
I'm
going to go back and look. I thought it did.
I think it did.
Did it?
I thought it did, but I could be
closely.
wrong.
I could be wrong. But essentially, they're going to have to raise. They're going to have to raise their prices. Yeah, I think you know what. I think that sounds correct. 10% sounds right. So they're going to have to raise their prices to make up for these tariffs. So me and Tony, did some had some back and forth, and we were thinking like, hey, how is this going to affect the fishing industry? And a lot of stuff that we fish comes from China, especially when it comes to bait.
Yep. So just reading a blurb from here. Ardent will be increasing prices on reels, rods, and combos, smart calls, and weigh-in bags, essentially everything they sell, by that 10% import tariff effective March 1st, 2025.
So there we have. That's the first company that I've seen that's essentially been raised their prices because of this.
More will come out.
More are going to come because a lot of manufacturers get their get their stuff in China.
I think almost all of them. And reason why I say that is
I
even
won't
if
say-
you
I won't say almost all of them,
changed
but-
they changed their supplier.
so even if you
Apparently.
make the blank in the United States, where does the material to make the blank come from? 99% of the time.
Well, that again, that's the thing. Where are they sourcing? Where are they sourcing that product from? There could be costs even in American-made products, because if the source material
It's from China.
is from China, like that's still going to that tariff's still going to apply to that.
Yep.
And that's going to carry on down the line, because then the raw material cost goes up, which means the cost of the blank goes up, which means the cost of the rod goes up.
Yep.
And it sucks ass, but the whole point of this is to try to push these companies to do more things within the country.
But go right back to what I said though. Like, it doesn't just affect the companies that are importing, having their product made in China, because so many of our raw materials come from China.
Yep.
That we use in the fishing industry specifically.
Yep. Even if like we'll use
Wait till you
Loomis,
see
for
the prices
example.
of lithium batteries soon.
Oh yeah. Well, like
Don't we mine our own lithium?
no.
99% of the lithium in the world comes from China.
Well, and Africa too, but
Cobalt.
the China.
And-
Oh yeah, true. Cobalt. Well, that's electric cars, because that goes to China first to be purified and then comes here. But anyway, so I really think this is
So
going to
buy
hit
your lithiums
everybody.
now if you're going to do lithiums.
I think it's going to hit everybody, and the reason, and we're going to get into that topic next year too, but I think it's going to hit everybody because, like Paul said, I mean, let's take Loomis for example.
Well,
I don't know that Loomis, where their sourcing comes from, but if they say we everything 100% made in the USA, like they even manufacture the blanks here. It comes down to where did that shit come from.
They're not 100% made in the U.S.
Well, right. Well, it's, who is anyway? Is it Cashin is
Nobody.
one? I thought Cashin was made in the USA.
Because not all of the components come from the U.S.
So it's safe to say everyone's going to get a spike
Loomis-
of some
Somebody's
sort.
running Fiji and it comes from Japan.
Yeah. Like your top rod manufacturer, Loomis uses Fuji guides. Fuji guides come from Japan. Fuji reel seats come from Japan.
Yep.
So the blank is made in the U.S. The rod is assembled in the U.S., but you have to remember that not all, even if it's made in the U.S., made in the U.S., not everything that's in that product was made in the U.S.
Yep.
So that even you can say, oh well, you should buy American. Well,
Exactly.
guess where
Jim.
the people who the people who are making these products in the U.S. are getting their stuff from somewhere. They're not making their own raw materials. They're not making their own maybe they're not making their own blank, even if they're assembling it in the United States. And if it's assembled in the United States,
What's up, Adam?
and a certain amount of parts are made in the United States, they can say it's made in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So just be leery that there's rules to something being made in the U.S. versus something being truly made in the U.S.
No, but a lot of the materials come from Japan that go in, or
Well,
China.
No,
that
so-
go
a lot of
into
the
rods.
so China is the largest miner of graphite in the world. All of our rods are made out of graphite.
So what about, all right, so just using Fuji, for example, because Fishing for Dollars does have a good point, right? Like, does this affect Fuji guides? And it might. It might, because
Depending,
the-
if they're getting their where are they getting their material?
is there, yeah, exactly. Is there plastic to make their rod seats coming from China? Maybe,
No,
I don't know.
because their rod seats made out of graphite.
It's gonna get
Okay.
worse before it gets better.
Well, or is the graphite coming from China?
Right.
Maybe.
Well, it's gonna
or the
get
guides
worse
where
before
does
it gets better.
those what are they using, like titanium sick guides on their high end?
Yeah.
Where does that titanium come from? So where does that raw material come from? Now again, if it's Fuji, if it's made in Japan and they don't have tariffs on China,
Yep.
so they're not paying those tariffs. Mm-hmm. So if they get their crap from China and they make their product in Japan and they send it to the United States, there's no tariff on it.
Okay, yeah, true.
Well,
True.
other than whatever the normal tariff is for imports from from Japan.
Yep. So it's going to affect a lot. I'm really curious to see what things look like after March 1st, because when all this shit's going to really looks like it's going to hit.
Yeah, because
I mean, it's 10%.
I hate to break it to you, but a lot of your a lot of your higher end, bigger name. I won't say higher end, bigger name brands. As far as rods and reels go, most of that stuff's made in China.
Yep.
Duckett, blanks
Yes.
are made in China. Ardent, blanks are made in China. Sixth Sense, looked into it, pretty sure, not 100% sure, pretty sure blanks are made in China. A lot of the Abu Garcia blanks are made in China. A lot of these companies are going to be affected because a lot of their stuff comes from China.
What if Bass Pro just stepped up to the plate?
Wait till you see the price of crankbaits.
Oh yeah.
Because like every
component,
like every crankbait is made in China.
Yep. What if Bass Pro steps up?
Except for UMA lures.
True.
UMA.
The huge plug for Tyler comes in.
Yes, Adam, Duckett is hot garbage.
I was gonna
Please
say,
tell Tony that.
Wouldn't it be
Duckett
nice?
is trash.
What if Bass Pro said, okay, from now
Duckett
on.
uses TMU freaking guides, 100%.
So
some of the Shimano's, some of the higher end Shimano's are, those are actually made in Japan.
speaking of Shimano,
Along with their higher end reels.
I got my hands on the Zodius today. Oh,
We've been telling you to do that for like.
oh, God, dude, that thing is. I haven't even made a cast with it yet, and I'm already like, oh wow, like oh wow, this is incredible. God, I just wish they had warranty. So, have you ever had any experience with their warranty?
I want you to
fishing
pick
for
up
dollars?
an actual good rod.
What, like a
Loomis.
Poison Adrena? I
I don't
played
like.
with.
I honestly, I don't like poison green.
I'll give you one of my X Prides.
I've played with
I meant like
X-Pride's
a
nice.
really high end rod,
I've played with
like
X Pride's pretty high end.
not like a Loomis. Like I'm talking like Loomis NRX Plus.
Travis has one, and I played with it, and
You
it was
will get a
ridiculous. Kevin has a couple really nice ones too, and they're ridiculous. I mean, but
They're
like,
so far. It's funny. Hey, they're so far above like, and an X Pride's a very good rod. I'm not taking anything away from that. It's a very good rod. The NRX Plus is so far above like anything that's out there.
I'm pretty sure they're like Loomis blanks.
There is technology. It's not a Loomis blank. It's technology that they have pulled from Loomis, but they actually have separated the two brands. That's coming from
Right.
a Shimano rep. There's they don't want to use the same technology in both. They want to keep them separate.
so I want to get into this comment
But,
for just a second. Go ahead, and then I want to address
like
this.
a super high end rod, like an NRX Plus, when you're looking at like a $700 rod, it makes an X Pride feel. It almost makes an X Pride feel like an ugly.
Yeah, but
It's insane
there's
but they're $700 rods.
only
Like I'm not paying
only
that.
millionaires and freaking professional fishermen are running shit like that. I don't.
That's not true.
There
I
are,
know
there's
a
a
lot of
handful.
I know a
there's
lot
not
of people.
that many freaking normal everyday Joes that are making $100K a year that have stuffed their boat with $700 Loomis.
Not stuffed them,
my
but they
buddy-
might have two or three.
They might have two or three.
My buddy Mark Sylvia, Tony knows Mark. Mark's got like 5 NRX Plus.
That's insane. But they're so nice.
He loves them. They're so nice.
So I'm going to ask this question.
Now he's a co-angler, right? So
Yeah.
he's got like he has say like 15 rods total. It's not like he's got like 30 NRX Plus. He's got like 15, but he fishes really high end rods. He's got Poison Adrenos. He's got an NRX Plus, St. Croix Legend tournaments.
I like my Mega Bass rods big time.
Yeah, Megabass is another one. Like when the Arachi.
I would be interested. What is the Mega Bass blank?
That's their blank.
Is
They
it?
make
It's Mega Bass. Yeah.
So they're made in Japan.
Yep.
I may have to pick one up then, honestly.
Dude,
just to try. I'm on a rod kick this year.
The Mega Bass Levante, I think, is like
you missed
200. It's like $200.
The Arachi was $100 off at Susquehanna.
Oh, really?
Oh, you missed that while we were up there?
What?
I'm on a huge rod kick right now.
$100 off the Arachi?
Yeah, it was $100 off.
So
So, it was like
let me-
300 instead of 400.
So let me ask this question. So fishing for dollars, and I have 3 Shimanos, and I have 2 Curados and a Zodius, and I love all of them. They're all great rods. But the
Yeah,
reason...
like Jim was ordering Kisslers at $550 each. You got 6-7 at a time. Like people spend money on rods.
Yeah.
I don't. I just can't break myself to do it. I would rather spend my money on other stuff. But
Most of my rod and reel setups are priced $600 to $700 for the setup.
yeah, I try to keep it around 500.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
show.
that's pretty much what I'm at.
That's where I'm all. Most of my
250
stuff's
reel,
like
250 rod.
Yeah, exactly.
Something in that range, or 300 reel, 200 rod.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that $500.
I'll splurge off a DC and go to a Scorpion or something like that every once in a while. I'll go a little bit above and beyond.
Yeah, was it last year?
Honestly, dude, I'm like
Last year I replaced my jerkbait reels and I splurged and bought 2 Zillions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like every now and then I'll splurge on a reel. I splurged on a spinning reel
Every time one of my Corrado DCs fucks up, I'm gonna be screws up. I'm gonna be replacing it with a Tatula or something of better quality from now on. I own like 3 or 4 DC reels, and it seems like they all fail after like 2 years. Like their brake system just doesn't work anymore.
Martin says I only buy fancy rods for my SFT SummerSlam entry.
Nice. So let me ask this, right?
If you do that every single year, you'll have enough rods quick enough, though.
So I might buy a Loomis this year.
So Fishing for Dollars had a good comment. He said, "I never had a bad experience with Shimano customer service." So I will tell you, a lot of people that I know all 3 of us have had this discussion before, but like the reason why I think a lot of people are adverse to buying Shimano is the warranty only covers factory
3 years.
No, it's factory defect.
And it only covers factory defects.
For the rods. So
I thought they had 3 years.
No, it's 3 years factory defects for their higher end rods. 1 year for
like
the
a Corrado
and lower.
I think the Zodius.
That's
What's the
garbage.
Zodius? The Zodius 3 years.
But if you
that's
buy
normal.
a good rod
Keep in
that
mind.
has good reputation, that makes a good product, as long as you're not stepping on your shit or slamming it in your car door, it's not gonna break.
But that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about it breaking from a manufacturer defect.
Yeah.
I'm worried about I went to throw it in a rod locker real quick and I caught the tip on the front and snapped it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is what I look for in a warranty. That's why, like, the only 2 rods that I will buy, like, I fish 100% St. Croix. Every rod in my boat is a St. Croix because of the warranty. Because I know that if I'm a dumbass and I high stick my $350 rod,
Corrados are shit now, Jim. I'll be changing.
Not the rods.
I can
I'll take your
the
reels.
reels.
I'll buy them from you. Seriously.
So I high stick my $350 rod and I snap it in half. I can call St. Croix and for $70 they send me a new one. Like, that's why I fish St. Croix. Loomis is the same way. Dobbins was. I don't know if they changed warranty process with the buyout or not. So I can't really speak to that. But they do have a similar thing where you can, if you accidentally break it, you pay a certain amount of money. They give you a prorated cost on a new rod.
Jim, do not put that information out there.
So I will.
Do not do that.
Because now he's going to buy it.
I will.
No, you just won't be able to find them online when you want one.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah,
I will only buy a rod that has that type of warranty because that's the only way I've ever broken rods.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. I've never really broken one.
I mean, I've broken 5 rods. In the last 15 years, I've broken 5 rods.
Yeah.
Every one was my fault.
Actually,
None of them were manufacturer defects. I've never, in the last 15 years, I've not broken one. Like, I set the hook and I'm like, why did this break?
Oh, that's kind of sick.
I had one that I slacklined the shit out of a fish. I mean,
Is the Tatula Elite within? I thought the Zillion was above the Elite.
No, Zillion is above the Elite.
so
Tatula Elite's a $250 reel. The Zillion's a $400 reel.
does anybody have any experience with the new
But if it's
dial
an
with
older
the Tula
Zillion,
rods?
the Tatula Elite might be better.
What about the new dial with the Tula rods? Are they any good? The new ones are like for $99.
An out of
XT?
I'm sorry, I read an out of warranty
yeah.
Zillion.
Oh,
okay,
that's awesome.
Out of warranty Zillion. Sorry, had to read through the whole
So,
thing.
the XT, the cheap one.
The one that they just released, or they just said a new thing.
So that's the XT. That is a $99 rod.
Is it any good?
It feels pretty good. It's a little heavier. I was playing with one SFT last weekend. A little heavier than my Victory. Mm-hmm. It's also half the price, so like understandable. But it feels like a really good quality rod. I talked to the Daiwa rep that was there, or not Daiwa rep, Daiwa pro on pro staff that was there. They sent him some of those rods to test before it was out. Mm-hmm. And Chris Johnson said the same thing that he did. when they sent them those rods and they tested them out, they were expecting it to be a $300 rod.
Really?
Fishing for dollars. I love Shimano. Don't get me wrong. Like I do love Shimano.
Oh, it was a Zillion rod. Gotcha. Okay.
If you
Sorry,
buy
I was thinking
a Daiwa reel to replace one of your Shimanos, you might get a little angry at yourself. Because now you're going to have to replace all of your reels.
I will say that last year I bought a Shimano reel.
I love my Daiwas. I've never had any problems with my Daiwas.
Bought the Shimano reel because I was entering a tournament. I needed to buy a Shimano or G Loomis or something like that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give Shimano a try. It is I would rather fish my old Quantums than that Shimano. And it's a Corrado MGL. It's not like it's a low end reel.
I came up into fishing.
I mean, it's not a bad reel by any means, but
I came up on fishing on Shimano, and when I did the Daiwa swap after one of my Shimanos went bad, I'm going to Daiwa. Their braking system is fantastic. Their adjustments are great. I think their reels are just a more stout, well-built reel.
I will tell you the one reason that I will fish a Daiwa forever over Shimano: zero adjust spool.
What's that?
You don't have to adjust the spool tension on their reels.
It depends on the reel, but yes.
On any of their newer reels.
So there's not a...
No.
Really?
There is. You tighten it enough that the spool doesn't move back and forth, and that's it. You can can cut off a 1/4 ounce bait and tie on a 3/4 ounce bait and not touch it, or vice versa.
My Daiwa 80 doesn't even have a knob on the side. There isn't one.
Usually they're just like built in. It's like a little piece that sticks out, and you just adjust it right, and then you set it and forget it. It's amazing.
Interesting.
I think their wheels are pretty accessible when it comes to oiling the components and stuff too. I just think Daiwa makes a nice reel.
Yeah,
personally,
for sure. That zero adjust spool though, that's a game changer.
Yeah, the Tatula, and anything above is just, they're phenomenal reels. Now I gotta say the Tatula is expensive in the price point compared to if you just bought. Like a baseline Daiwa is more expensive than a baseline Shimano. But you get more out of the Daiwa 110%. That Tatula is more expensive.
But a Tatula is not a baseline Daiwa.
It's their most popular Daiwa.
It is, but it's not their baseline.
I guess like Shimano, like the Corrado is like their most popular.
Right.
Right.
I want to get my hands on a
But the Tatula is
Corrado
more
reel.
than the Corrado.
Not really. My SVTWs are 209.
It's been a while since I looked.
So fishing for dollars is a good question.
My Corrado MGL was 250?
They're like 200. I thought they were like 180, 200.
No, Corrados are 200 up.
Right.
Fishing for dollars says if you were going to buy one, which one would you get?
Tatulas are what?
Aren't Tatulas 250, 280?
Not unless you're looking at like the 200 or 300. The 200 or 300 are a little more expensive. But like the Tatula Elite's 250.
What's the difference in the Elite and the regular Tatula?
It doesn't have, the braking system's different. So
have you thrown one?
Yeah, I have a Tatula Elite. It was on my frog rod until I just bought a new one. Very nice reel, casts really far, and that's the biggest difference. It's a little harder to cast than like the SV spools, but it casts a little farther than the SV spools. I like it. I can throw a frog a mile with it. It's actually just swapped it over to my my punching rod because I needed to replace it on that. I just bought a Tatula 150.
Martin and Dustin just really freaking sparked my curiosity to something that we should definitely talk about. You're going to not like this probably. Dude, I think the BFS, we need to talk about BFS on another episode of Bass and Beer.
I don't know anything about it. I know nothing about it.
We need to talk about BFS on another episode of Bass and Beer Radio because BFS has become very popular over the past handful of years, and a lot of the manufacturers have come out with more BFS gear.
Yeah.
And the bait finesse system, is that bait finesse gear?
Bait finesse system.
It is freaking wild. You're using a bait caster tossing like 1/4 ounce baits.
Ned rigs.
And
smaller.
Yes.
So
it's very cool.
So they designed the spool. So the spool only holds about like it holds like 30 or 40 yards of line. It's a very, very shallow spool because it keeps the lighter lines heavy, right?
Right.
You know, so it's a very big spool with a lot of open space in the middle, right? So weighs lighter, so you can cast lighter baits.
I accidentally bought one.
Doesn't use as much line, or you don't have as much line on there to weigh that down, so less momentum to get it started.
When I get to
If I
fishing,
want a Daiwa,
Just a
easy.
Tatula.
A Tatula 103 SVTW.
so fishing for dollars. That was your comment.
What's
so
the 103?
It's a compact bait caster with the SV spool and the SV braking system.
Okay, so you're deeper into it than I was just gonna say get a freaking Tatula and whatever freaking hand you like having it in.
So there's-
left or right, but
See, that's the problem. There's
so many
There's
options.
like 5 different Tatulas.
right.
You know, you have like the Tatula.
But I like
there's
that,
like the
though.
Tatula
That's
100,
like that's
the Tatula
like
150.
that's development
the
is what that
SVTW.
is.
Yeah, so
That's real development. When you look at
it's
you
just
look
like-
at the Corrado, you got the Corrado MRX
Corrado,
or whatever,
you
the
got the
SLX,
MGL.
the MGL, and then the DC.
well, the SLX is not a Corrado. That's a SLX.
It's just the
Just
I
the
thought
SLX.
yeah, you're right.
So
right.
but the Corrado, you have like the
got
Corrado
SLX
DC,
DC.
you have the Corrado 150, you have the Corrado MGL. It's kind of the same way when you get into Tatulas, and the
Jim.
price is difference between them.
Jim, elephants eat peanuts, brother. Got to remember that.
yeah, but you also wouldn't pull out a BFS setup around grass in Florida.
No.
I would honestly like BFS for me would be like creek fishing.
It's like a fun thing to do.
Like if I was going to go wade the creek for smallies or
I
something.
think there is a
Like,
time in
I
the
think that would be
season
fantastic.
where downsizing your bait has benefits.
It could, yeah.
Yeah.
But until
Now
I
when
run
it
into
takes
that
you
situation,
when it takes you freaking 12 minutes to reel in a 2-pound fish because you're on your BFS setup, it's not that great.
Hey, Adam, don't
that's
forget.
like half a Thursday nighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, don't forget the shirt and the sweatshirt.
Camo.
I wish I had a shirt. Just saying.
I thought we brought Paul's shirt.
We did get you a shirt.
I never received a shirt.
I'll have to go back and look. One of us has an extra one. It's either me or you.
You took it.
Did I?
Yeah.
Because I have a sweatshirt and a shirt.
I asked for a hoodie. Like when you guys asked me if I
It
wanted.
might be the hoodie then. I could probably give you my hoodie. I've only worn it once.
We definitely brought you back something from
Yeah.
from JCS. 110%. I'm pretty. I thought you told me.
Probably. You probably did. It's probably
He
exactly
said,
what
"Yeah,
happened.
chicks don't like small peckers." Yeah. I
For the
mean,
most part, yeah.
big chicks definitely don't like those small peckers. You know, you can't get past the rolls.
Adam, how can you not be proud of rocking the bullet hat when
Yeah,
you
thanks, John.
when you roll
These guys-
around with a bullet from JCS Marine that looks like that?
Like I couldn't make it up there, and these guys, they just snagged all your cool swag.
Yeah.
We definitely have a shirt for Paul. Now
just
we
gotta
have
find
to
it.
track that.
We just gotta
shit
find it.
down.
Well, you said
We'd
I
all
gotta-
be sitting here rocking JCS right now.
Yeah, I'll just rock my Daiwa shirt. That's all. It's cool.
Iowa, but one thing I gotta say, I do love that you consistently rock our boy Tactical Fishing.
Oh yeah,
Drew
that's
Blair.
my favorite hat.
Hey John, I got a question. So we're talking about rods and stuff. What rods, like brands, are you guys looking to sell at your at the shop? I mean, do you guys have a preference? A little bit of everything.
Guggen rods.
They make. I hope not.
They do make rods.
Do they actually?
Yeah. They also own Favorite. So
Yeah, I knew that. Unfortunately, I have one favorite rod. I don't hate it, but I don't
What is
definitely
it?
don't love it.
There's a rod company up that way, Douglas.
Oh, yeah, Todd. If Todd's still on, he was telling me about Douglas. He said he really likes him. He said he really, really likes him. But he said,
I'm not sure about their their bass rods. I know so I know them from the fly fishing world.
Yes.
And they make a really, really good like entry level price point fly rod,
which is because fly rods are fucking expensive.
which is about the price of a G Loomis, but
Like what, like $250 or something?
like $300.
Okay, that's so. I walked into when I was into fly fishing for like a total of 5 minutes.
That's an entry level.
Yeah,
I
So
mean,
I walked into Great Feathers Fly Shop in Sparks one time, and I was looking for a fly rod because I had like the Walmart Fluger, like the 17-piece rod or whatever. Their cheapest one was like $700. I was like,
so I have a
like what the fuck?
I have a Scott.
No. They were like custom bamboo fly rods and everything.
Well, those are really expensive because they're all handmade. As far as like graphite rods go, I have a Scott that I've had for many years, and that's $1,000 rod.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was my graduation present from high school. Like that's the only reason I have that. That's a super expensive rod. But I also have a TFO fly rod that I use for steelhead.
That's another
seven
rod.
weight TFO Lefty Cray series, dude. That rod is so good, and it was like $200.
That's another rod that's been interesting. It's been on my radar as well as the TFO. There's a guy on YouTube that I watch occasionally, Benjamin Nowak or whatever. He raves about TFO rods, and they have a lot of options in terms of price points too. So I think they go from like $100 to like $400. So they're
for like bass rods.
Yeah,
they only have like 2 series. I
think it's more than that now. I think
it's
like 2 or 3. Like that, one of them's a TFO option, but they seem to be decent rods. I just don't know anybody that's used them.
The only person that I know not that I know personally, that I know of that like use them like at a higher level, Cliff Pace was with them for a while.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What about you know what another rod brand that interests me right now, because I'm on a rod kick this year? 6th Sense rods.
Yeah, I'm not sure about them. I don't know anybody that's really fished them.
Dude,
I don't like to try them.
If you're gonna look at anything that, if we're talking about,
I feel like you need to look at better rods.
That's where I was going.
Well,
I
mean, I did pick up $500 worth of 2 rods in the last week.
What'd you buy?
Do me a favor.
Actually,
go buy yourself a Megabass Arachi or a Megabass Levante. In one of the rods, dude. The best thing, one of the things that I love so much about Megabass, and I'm not saying this just means that they're the best rod ever, but you go right through there. They have it labeled. The jerk bait special. Like, you go right on there, figure out what rod they make. They make their rods very specific to techniques. They don't just label it like a 7.3 medium heavy. They they label it something that it was designed specifically for this purpose.
Yeah, that's why I like St. Croix. That's why a lot of
buy that rod. At their,
fishing for
at
dollars,
their price and try.
Fishing for dollars.
I'm telling you will not go back.
I love fishing for steelies. That's really the only. I grew up fly fishing, but
we need to have fishing for dollars on the podcast.
Steelies
I like fishing for dollars.
Yeah, send them a
steelies are about the only thing that I still fly fish for on a regular basis. I try to go every year to Erie, and it's like one of my favorite things to do.
Ooh, JCS picked up Loomis stuff.
Loomis is always good.
Oh, it says fishing NFX rods.
I have no idea.
I actually don't know what that is.
But yeah, Tony, like, just go get.
I thought NFX.
It doesn't have to be a Megabass. Like, if you don't want a Megabass, it doesn't have to be a Megabass.
What's up, Jason?
But buy some sort of high end rod, or get to find somebody that has one that you can use, so that you can really see the difference between what a $100 rod.
Yeah.
And a $500 rod is. Because when you get into that like $350 to $700 range, it totally gets exponentially better.
It's completely worth feeling the difference.
So I got
after my first high end rod, because when I got into fishing, I was kind of the same way. Like, Scuba Steve is a diehard in owning quality things. He's a diehard in having nice rods.
You have the GLX,
having
Martin?
Nice reels. So he's kind of who I learned all my fishing stuff from. And I started out with Furies. And after he convinced me to buy my first higher end rod, I was like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I could feel a fish fart on the end of this freaking line right now.
I will say, in the last year, I've gotten 5 good
NRX,
rods.
man. The thing is so ridiculous. I can't bring myself to pay $680 for a rod.
You know what's crazy? But if I have a Megabass Destroyer, which is that price line, but I got a sick deal on it.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I broke it.
I almost bought an NRX. So at the Richmond Fishing Expo, I almost bought an NRX.
That was on your boat, mofo.
I remember that.
So the Land Big Fish had NRX pluses for $450.
Oh, I would have done it.
From the 600, they were $200 off. It was a $650 rod for $250. I almost dropped $450
I
on
think
one.
that's the most I've ever paid for a rod. It's like 400 to 450.
My-
I
like
can't remember what I
350.
paid for that destroyer. That destroyer might have been like 380 to 400. But then I put that.
The GLX is nice.
Put
I
that
like the
Shimano
GLX. IMX Pros are
Antares.
nice
That
too.
Shimano Antares DC is like a $750 reel.
So
Is it
Put
really?
on.
in
Yeah,
the
I put on it for 380.
so since last summer, I've picked up 2 Corrados, 1 drop shot rod, which is, oh my god, I got a 7-foot medium heavy for like throwing worms in the grass spinning rod, the Shimano Zodius.
650. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a Dobbins Champion XP, and I got a
Is that the
Dobbins
Monster
Sierra.
Drive? It's an MD Monster Drive.
The MD you can get on Amazon right now for $464.
No shit.
I'm actually really impressed. Yeah, I mean, like the
So would you? So you said you just bought 2 rods,
3.
3.
Yeah.
So you bought 3 rods, and you spent how much money?
Well, okay, so let me back up. So because Christmas and my birthday happened, so I spoiled myself a little bit. So since Christmas,
fine.
I've gotten
Like-
5 good rods.
Okay.
So I got
So what have you gotten?
because
Because I know you bought a bunch of different things to try some
Yeah,
stuff
you're
out.
definitely on a roll.
So I got so the first one is actually the one that Buckland bought me for the SFT buy-in, which is the Corrado drop shot rod,
Okay.
which I really really like.
Is that the one you broke?
No, I still
Never
have it.
used the Corrado rod.
They're so nice, dude.
Yeah.
They're really really nice.
They're like
They break a lot.
120 bucks, 150.
150, 170.
Yeah.
I know 2 people. I know 2 people who had them, and they both broke them.
Yeah. So I'm really sad. I hope that doesn't happen. But to be fair, we've heard horror stories about carrot sticks, and I haven't broken either of mine. I probably won't ever use them again, by the way, because
Okay.
they suck.
So you got a
Seen a
Corrado,
bunch of St. Croix break.
I got a second Corrado.
usually from user error.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of rods, though.
I got a second.
User error.
I got a second Corrado for throwing like Texas rig worms and Nika rigs in the grass. So
So
it's
bait caster, like
no,
a 7-foot medium.
It's
heavy-
a 7-foot medium heavy spinning rod.
7-foot medium.
He's
heavy
got the
spinner.
Zodius.
Okay.
Yep. I got the Zodius. I
So
got.
did you get a Zodius or did you?
I got it. I have it. Like I was holding it today.
You have stroked the rod.
Like
I have
you bought
stroked
it?
Yes, I have it. It's in my house. It's awesome.
Like you just said, I held it. I had a Zodius.
Oh no,
in my
I
hand.
have it.
He's
Like,
like,
you didn't
it's
say it
in
was
my
like it
bed
belonged
under
to
the
you.
covers
Yeah.
right now.
It's yes.
Okay,
Its head
so you
is
got a-
on the pillow.
So you got
Keeping
2
it
Corrados
warm.
and a Zodius so far.
I got a
They are all
Dobbins,
Shimano.
Dobbins Champion XP.
Fish I haven't heard carrot sticks in a
Yeah,
minute.
right.
All right, you got a. So you got a. So you got a Dobbins champion, right?
XP.
Yep,
Yep, and then a Dobbins Sierra,
and a Dobbins Sierra.
which
Okay.
is
That's the
Japanese
orange one, right?
Touareg.
no, it's
The
all
fuck
black,
is that?
blacked out.
It doesn't have the orange. I'm not the orange rod. I like the orange writing.
Nope, it's all black.
Adam,
What's the
post a
rating?
link.
The Dobbins rating.
It's black.
What's the Dobbins rating black?
It is. It's like it's got like a gray out. It's like black and gray.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
that
that's the
one
one that used to be like have orange rating.
I thought it was too, but I looked at it and it's not. I think it's a different line, or they may have changed it. But I haven't used the Zodius, I haven't used the Champion XP, and I haven't used the Sierra, and I haven't used 4 out of the 5 yet. But I can tell you,
Jim says the XPs are great rods. I just have a
Champions are great.
I have a particular problem with the parent company that owns Dobbins now.
That just happened.
I don't like that, so I will never buy it.
But that just happened.
But I won't buy it.
I know.
Now I won't
But
buy
did
them.
you? I know. But did you ever use them before?
No, and now I won't. Like I'm not saying they're not great. They're not good rods. I just won't use them.
yeah.
Here we go.
I got the Champion XP is to replace.
See, I hate micro guides. I would never buy that.
The Champion XP is
not the
just
micro
an
guides, the
upgrade
microwave guide.
for chatterbait,
Is
and
the
then
micro guide's the thing in the center?
That's the microwave guide.
yeah. And then
What,
the
what do you think
yeah,
that
I don't
does?
know.
What do you think that? Why do you think
It's-
that's?
Say it's for sensitivity, but
No, it's for casting. It's supposed to eliminate line slap on
Right.
spinning rods, so it tightens up your coil
and
so that
then
it's supposed to cast better.
but that's
I just don't like them.
I will say that Sierra is a meat
Thank
stick,
you, Adam.
dude. It's from I bought it to replace my A rig rod, which was a carrot
Yeah.
stick, which was fine. I mean, but like I just wanted something a little bit better. And it's beef full cork, dude. It's a monster. I mean, you could throw glide baits on it. That's kind of why I got it. That's a dual purpose rod.
Zach, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining. Glad to see you.
40% off now on Dobbins for military and first
Get you
responders.
a freaking champion, bro.
I just spent money on a fucking Sierra on Tackle Warehouse, and I didn't have that discount running. God damn it!
Well,
like,
Go
Now
get
you
that
can
freaking. Go get that freaking Dobbins champion.
Get that
I gotta
Dobbins.
say,
Get that. Well, I mean, he's got 40% off. Might as well get the ecstasy.
I feel as though I do think I love Dobbins champion.
I want to replace my
I
jerk
think
bait
they're
rod.
a little on the lighter side than what they say they're rated for.
I couldn't tell you. I haven't used
so.
it yet.
That's a. You bring up a very, very good point. Something to keep in mind. Yes, I know, Jim, but they fucked a lot of people at the old Dobbins plant.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind when you're looking at a rod and comparing two different rods. You can't necessarily compare a 7-foot medium Shimano and a 7-foot medium St. Croix.
No, you cannot.
Because, to be fair, a 7-foot medium Shimano is more like a 7-foot medium light St. Croix. Mm-hmm. They're very, very, very different. And your rod manufacturer is going to manufacture their power.
What's
right?
your relationship?
Huh? What?
He says buy from Bait WRX. What's the relationship with Bait WRX?
Baitworks.
Oh, baitworks.com. It's bait-works.com.
Never used them.
Duncan 10 for a 10% discount.
It's not a small dude. It's not a small company.
It's a smaller company.
Okay, word.
Yeah, they're a locally owned company out in the Midwest.
Oh, that's cool.
They're not. I won't say they're small, but they're like
Localized.
Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty neat.
they're not like a tackle warehouse or something like that.
The differences in the actions of a rod.
So yeah, differences in action to rod. It's going to vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. Dobbins is going to be different than Shimano. Shimano is going to be different than St. Croix. St. Croix is going to be different than G Loomis. So you really have to look at like your line ratings, your weight ratings on your rods, and that can help you narrow it in. But the only way to tell the difference is put them both in your hand.
Yeah.
Because some of them are going to be a little more.
Shimano definitely has a stiffer blank than, say, Dobbins does.
Yes.
The way in the curvature, like their medium heavy bends differently.
Right. I was just going to say that.
Heavy.
Exactly. Like they're a Dobbins, for example, may have more of a parabolic bend in a medium, where a Shimano has a Shimano is more like a Shimano fast is more like an extra fast in some rods. So you always have to keep that in mind when you're trying to compare two rods, especially if you're trying to replace something. So let's say you have a carrot stick, right?
Garbage.
And I really like like.
You loved them.
It's cool to have. Don't get me wrong, but it's garbage.
You only bought
I'm
them
only
because
using-
of your orange Crocs.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm only using that as an example because they don't make them anymore.
And it's garbage.
So you have a rod that's not made anymore, and I want to replace it. Well, if I just say, oh well, it's a 7-foot medium heavy, I'm just going to go get a Shimano 7-foot medium heavy, and it'll be the same. It's going to be completely different.
No, it is. Yeah.
So you really have to put them in your hands to be able to find the rod that is going to meet your needs. Which is one of the reasons that I only fish St. Croix. Because
it stays consistent.
It's consistent, exactly.
Yeah, makes
like
sense.
I know that if I need to get a new rod and I need a 7-1 medium heavy, that 7-1 medium heavy is going to have the same action as the other 8 7-1 medium heavies I have.
That makes another really, really good point as to why a lot of people do run the same exact rods. Is because they stay consistent with themselves.
Dustin said any rod over $200 is like using golden golf balls.
All right. I think we're going to, in the interest of time, I want to move on to the lithium battery debate. Because I watched a good video today, and there was a guy. Lithium batteries is like this interesting thing going on right now because there you have in my
So
eyes,
it wasn't the parent company of Dobbins Rods; it was the parent company of the parent company of the Dobbins Rods, which in the whole scheme of the fishing universe now is the problem with the fishing universe right now.
But it wasn't
the
Gary
problem with
Dobbins.
everything.
No, Dobbins, he's out.
That's the
he's out
problem
for a
with
while.
everything now.
Is that like you have these you have these hedge fund assholes that just go in and they just buy up these companies. And, and these are huge conglomerates that are buying up these companies, and they end up buying up these companies, and they cut as much cost as they can out of it, so that it maximizes profit, and the product goes to shit.
Yep.
Sorry.
Shimano Mag Light.
So lithium batteries, you kind of have two realms of
Pistol
lithium batteries.
grip.
That is old school.
Old school.
So you kind of have two realms of lithium batteries. You have your legit lithium batteries, and I say legit, I'm talking Dakotas, Ionics, Impulse, Battleborns. There's
Gary,
another
yes,
company.
Jim Gary is a good guy.
There's another company that I think it's like, I can't remember, but there's a like, and when I say legitimate lithiums, we're talking like price points of like in the neighborhood of $1,000 a battery. You might save a little bit money with some certain brands. There are certain Battleborn batteries are $2K. What's that?
$1,000 a battery?
Some of them, yes.
For lithiums, yeah. For 100 amp hour lithium battery, that's about right.
Yep.
$800 to $1,000.
Yep.
That's insane.
So
an Ionics, like regular price on an Ionic is 800. Oh, I think 700.
Yep.
Yeah.
So $700 to $1,000 for a 100 amp hour battery.
So then you get down to, you have your Amazon-ish, and I'm just going to say Amazon brands because you can buy them on Amazon, but some of them are certain companies, some of them aren't. Your Lifetimes, your Power Queens, batteries like that you can get a 100 amp hour Lifetime with Bluetooth for $300. So you can actually put your whole 36 volt system in for the price of one Impulse lithium battery. So a lot of people are looking at this and like, well,
Lifetime actually sponsors MLF.
Which is crazy, right? Because when these brands get big, right? You have these people like consumers like us.
Jim said he'll risk burning his boat up before he spends $1,000 on a battery.
So, but that's the point, right? That's the thing, and that's one of the things that we talked about with John at JCS Marine very in depth. Is that
how light is that?
I mean, it's crazy light, but like you can get one. You can get your 3 Lifetimes, and they might be performance-wise, they might be just as good. They might be just as good as your Impulse. I'm not saying they are. Let's just for the sake of the argument.
But are they as durable?
Maybe, maybe not. The difference is there's a rating.
What brand you go with, Jim?
John, fill me in on this because I can't remember exactly, but there's some sort of the Impulse, Ionics, Dakotas, and all these other brands. They go through this testing, and it guarantees that if your battery does catch on fire and burn your house down, that company's going to pay for those damages.
I remember hearing about that.
Lifetimes, if Lifetime burns up your boat, I don't care what your insurance is, it's not covered.
I agree with you, Josh.
I don't know about Lifetime, and about that, but I know. Oh, you know what? It was Miller when we had Miller Tech on. He was talking about that testing. Yeah.
Yep. So that's really the big thing. Is it comes down to the entry level price to get in the game, right? And your Impulse lithiums, a lot of these batteries have comparable warranties at 10 years, 11 years, or whatever. Now, let's say even if I was to get 3 Lifetimes and I got 5 years out of it, I can buy I could buy 3 of those batteries 3 times and get potentially 15 years out of it.
UI listed. Yeah.
So
that's it. Thanks, Jim.
There's so much to consider with it.
Do we see a lot of boats burning down from lithium batteries, or is that just like Teslas?
So
I think John is actually seeing
Lou brought up a good point. He's like, I saw a Power Queen the other day, and the 100 amp hour 12 volt battery was a quarter size of the normal battery. There's a reason for that. So we have standard battery sizes for AGMs and stuff.
Lead acids, gel, stuff like that.
An AGM battery is essentially the size of a 27 series lead acid battery, like 100 amp hour, 100 amp hour. There's a reason why you can go from a 60 amp hour to a 130 amp hour lithium battery, and they're still in the same size case. Because if you open that case up, it doesn't take up anywhere near all the room in the case.
Oh, really? Wow, yeah. I didn't know that. Interesting. But yeah, I just it's really an interesting concept because it really comes down to if that battery causes a fire and it burns your boat down or it fries your electronics or whatever, if you have an impulse lithium, that's covered. If you have a lifetime, it's not. And that brings out other things. Martin says, I still worry about my 30 amped outdoors battery for live scope sitting in the garage.
Why are you worried about it?
I don't think amped outdoors is
Like batteries don't just like.
I literally have both of my Ionic 50 amp hours are sitting on the shelf right there, and then
Batteries
this Amazon Amper Time lithium is sitting on the shelf right next to it. Because I honestly, it's more dangerous to keep them in shitty conditions than the conditions they're supposed to be in, which is whatever temperature range that is.
Jason, I don't know that they're covered by
and they're not
insurance.
plugged in.
So here's the thing with batteries, and Martin's like, oh, I'm worried about my 30 amp hour, but first of all, lithium phosphate LPO4 batteries, right, are very, very stable. They're very stable batteries. So it's a lithium iron phosphate 4. They're very, very stable. Secondly, batteries really, the only time that batteries really fuck up is if they're overloaded or if they're damaged.
Yeah.
Like other than that, like batteries don't just randomly catch on fire. So there's either it's either an overcharge or
a short.
There's going to be some sort of damage or some sort of current that causes that problem.
However, I'm not sure about all the car fires and stuff we see, though. I don't know what happens to those batteries. Because I don't know, you're like driving a car that's made of batteries, basically.
So
you're just like beating it up.
When lithium hits water, it combusts. I mean, it's a chemical reaction. That's what.
Throwing it in the water doesn't do anything.
Dustin said he's seen a few RC AR batteries cook, RC car batteries.
RC car
yeah,
batteries.
Exactly, Lou. You're not supposed to charge lithiums under certain temperatures.
Yeah,
that's why I bring my batteries inside.
Generally you're good. It's 26 degrees.
Yeah,
Fahrenheit is the temperature.
But
and it generally just it won't damage them to the point of like harm. It will damage them to the point of the battery life.
What's it look like inside Fishing for Dollars? He says he's dissecting a 36-volt powerhouse right now.
Well, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
It's a bunch of it's just going to be a bunch of cells inside of it. UL listing means the product has passed a safety and sustainability test by the underwriter's laboratory, which is your insurance, right? Mm-hmm. So, let's see. Lifetime.
Technology.
UL.
You need to bring that iPad every week from now.
White.
I'm really curious to see this. So, you're saying insurance has to do with this?
Well, the UL listing is underwriter laboratory, which underwriter's insurance, right?
Okay.
So
in theory, if your battery doesn't have that and it burns it up, is insurance not going to cover your boat?
Let's see. Lifetime. Let's see if we can find out if they're UL rated. Let's find their 12.
Tell me that is definitely not just a rebrand.
It is. It 100% is.
It's the same exact 100%. Battery.
They probably just changed their name.
Yeah, it's the same battery.
So, and I'm not saying that Lifetime's a bad battery. I mean, I know a lot of guys that run them and love them.
This is a good battery.
Like I know guys that are running complete lithium setups.
This has the safeties. Well, not this one, but the bigger Lifetime batteries have your hot and your cold safeties, your overamp. They have the safeties in them.
Yeah, they're BMS protected. And most. Like pretty much every lithium battery is BMS protected. It's the quality of the BMS that makes the difference between the batteries.
Yeah. Yep. It's just
Now these are not smart batteries, correct? Or do they make a smart battery?
A lot of them are Bluetooth.
I think Lifetime makes a Bluetooth battery.
Well, most of them are. Power Queen does it too.
Let me see.
I do enjoy the Bluetooth feature of a battery, and it seems like that would be something stupid, but to be able to watch your amp draw, your hours on your batteries, how many recharge you have. Yeah,
because I know I can just look at my app and say, okay, my battery's charged, and I can just go unplug it, and then it's saving electricity, right? Because shit.
Hey, Mr. Larry Payne, thanks for liking and joining us. Appreciate it. Mr. Larry Payne with Bass Munitions.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, man. I'm very curious as to if enough. I feel like if enough people are buying these Lifetimes, Power Queens, like if enough people are buying those and having good results, is it going to drive the price down of these other batteries? I mean, because the reality is I can get 3 Lifetimes to power my 36 volt system for a third of the price or less as I could run Battleborns or Impulses or whatever. And it's like
$200
for, is that the 20, is that the trolling motor battery or the Group
1,200 amp hour.
Okay.
12 volt, 100 amp hour.
Yeah, so it's less than a third of the price. I mean, it's a huge price difference.
Well,
and
they
it's
have one
like
for $279, but I don't know what the difference is.
you got to consider this stuff.
This is an EV grade electric battery.
What's
You know,
EV
Optima
grade?
actually
Electric vehicle.
Optima actually makes a lithium battery
It's got
now.
a durable.
Does that mean
aluminum
that you
casing.
could run it in a freaking
It just means it gets
like
damaged
a
less.
reservoir rig? Like a marine battery?
So it has a durable aluminum casing. So it's just a little better.
Okay, gotcha.
A little. Help
And
protect
am I guess this battery is probably 4 years old. I mean, it's great.
And that is UL certified.
Is it really?
Yeah. And now it's a little more expensive, but it's $279.
Just that one, or are they all UL certified?
So this is the only one that I saw.
No, they're
I only
UL
looked at a
certified. I bet you this one's UL certified.
I only looked at a couple of them, but that's the only one that said it was UL. No, UL certified by UL, FCC, blah 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 blah. So
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's an interesting conversation, and I'm very, very, very curious as to what that looks like in the future, because as more people go to Lifetimes and Power Queens, it's like, well, why am I going to consider $3,000 for my battery setup when I can get everything ready to go for $1,000?
I almost bought a Lifetime for my electronics the other day.
It's hard to can't not consider it.
I wonder.
But I'm really concerned with how long
is a battery
it's
is a
gonna
battery a
last.
battery? Is the power delivery going to be the same? Like, will the power that comes out of this battery be
90% of the
as
battery.
clean as
So 90% of the battery
a Battleborn battery?
90% of the battery components in all lithium batteries are the same.
Jim has a good comment.
It's the BMS that's the difference.
Jim says, fun fact, just because they say they're UL listed, if you go online and look it up, most don't have a certificate for it.
They actually, Lifetime
always
actually
has good
lists the
comments.
certificate number.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. But
So they
here's the
actually
thing,
listed
right?
the certificate number.
So let's say
it would be easy to look up.
you got it's like you said it was like what, $170, $200?
$279 for the
What about the Group 31 trolling motor battery, which is what most guys are running? And I'll show you where I'm going with this.
I don't know if they particularly call one a trolling motor battery.
It says like Group 31 TM.
Okay. $200.
Okay. That's comparable to your top of the line AGM.
UL 197.3 tested.
So if you have
FCC, CE, ROHS, UN 38.3, ABYC certified.
So the standard warranty for an AGM is what, 3 years?
For a AGM?
Yeah.
So like my
Josh, what's up, brother?
X2?
X2, yeah. I was thinking L2 for some reason. I don't know why. And I knew it wasn't right.
Wait a second.
My X2's 4 or 5 years.
Okay. So if you get and it's $400 bucks.
I totally got our Josh's
$450 now.
confused. I got
So the
Josh for
Lifetime, we're just going to use Lifetime because that's what we're talking about. If you wanted to run your 36 volt trolling motor on 3 X2s, you're going to spend roughly $1,500. Hopefully it gets you 3 to 5 years.
$1,350.
So if you're going to be cheaper with the Lifetimes. So their warranty on the Lifetime is 10 years. Even if you
5 years.
Oh, it's 5. Okay. So if you get the 5 years,
So same, essentially.
right.
Same warranty.
And it's just interesting to think about.
And
you
I
know?
mean,
Did you get
to be
the
fair, your
12 or the
AGM,
16 volt?
your AGMs could last seven years.
Yeah.
You know, so you never,
and you know it's not going to burn your boat down, which is also a nice peace of mind too.
I like my, I have Ionic 100 amp hours for my trolling motor.
I have.
And
I
absolutely
literally
love them.
I sleep at night just fine knowing that.
The biggest thing with
have my
lithium,
accident.
between AGM, you want to make that comparison, is as your AGM goes down during the day, your voltage drops, which means your trolling motor power drops,
Means your
which means you
amps
have to
go
then run a higher setting on your trolling motor,
Dropping it faster.
and then it starts dropping it faster. Where with a lithium, you have the same voltage all day.
Right. Yeah.
Consistent voltage means consistent amperage.
I almost wonder. I wonder why somebody doesn't make a lithium battery that's the same weight as a lead acid.
Because that defeats the purpose. The biggest selling point of lithium batteries is that they're lighter.
It does, but it doesn't, because you got like guys with older boats.
I disagree with that.
Guys with older.
It's one of them.
Yeah, it's one of two.
It's one of them.
I can tell you.
I
I can tell you right now, just like being on the bullet boat.
Otherwise, a battery's a battery. It runs by shit.
right.
Like on the bullet boats Facebook, there's like this comment comes up every day. It's
I
like,
guess Bluetooth.
You're gonna get 100% capacity out of this battery, where on the normal you get
like
50%, 50 to 60%
60%,
capacity out of a lead acid.
But the other thing to think
if
of-
this is 12 hours, you get a true 12 hours out of this. Where if it's a lead acid, you're only going to get 6 hours.
Yeah, right, because your voltage eventually drops too low to run your shit.
Exactly. Well, when your voltage drops, your amps are going to go up, and it causes your, you know what I mean? It causes your
So
it
like
just
Jason,
drains it even more.
so like Jason said, he fishes out of a kayak. Like weight's everything to him.
I can tell you right now, which
Makes sense. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
On like the bullet boats Facebook pages and forums, like there are so many guys that are inquisitory about lithium batteries, and the guys that have put them on the older boats like mine, they're like, yeah, it'll kill the performance. You have to add weight. So for guys like with performance hulls and just older boats in general, like a 203 Champion is going to be affected by lithiums. It's maybe not as much as a bullet, but that weight difference is going to be affected because those boats are made for lead acid heavy ass batteries. So I can tell you right now, if Lithium would have made a battery that's just as heavy as an AGM but has the performance of lithiums, I would have bought it for sure, 150%. Because I don't know where to put sandbags in my boat. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, I don't have room to put sandbags in my boat.
Set them on the back deck.
Well, warranty. I just want to see your warranty.
Just want to see it.
Like that's all I want to see is like Lifetime doesn't like do they even list what their actual warranty? It just says 5-year warranty. Like does it list like what their warranty covers?
Also, like the difference in 3 batteries, 3 AGMs versus 3 lithiums is probably what, like 70, 100 pounds total difference.
Like 150 easy.
Really? All 3? I guess so.
If not more.
Well,
Lot of
I mean,
weight.
yeah, probably it's
So
got
my
about
X-
100 at least.
My X2 weighs 75 pounds.
Okay.
My Ionic 100 amp hour lithium weighs like 21 pounds.
I don't know what my Duracells are. I have no idea. They're probably they're probably 60
31s
pounds.
or 27s?
31s.
The 31s.
Those are 70-pound
They're 70
batteries.
pound batteries.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had 27. My 27 series AGM Duracells were like 67 pounds.
Yeah, Lou, that's what a lot of guys do. A lot of guys now that go from that I see they
I did
go
that too,
to
yeah.
from the lead acids to the lithiums. They move all their heavy stuff, all of their terminal tackle, their lead weights, soft plastics. All the really heavy stuff get moved to the back of the boat, and then they take all their lighter stuff, plastic or not.
Plastics are heavier stuff.
I mean, not soft plastics, but crankbaits like hollow plastic
Yeah, that's in the front, right?
in the front.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I keep all my hard baits in the front. I keep the plastics that I use the most, like the stuff that I use every day, stays in the front.
Soft plastics.
But then,
lead
like all my
weights,
other soft
terminal tackle, glide baits.
my terminal tackle stays in the front. My hard baits stay in the front, and I have a couple of bags of plastics that always stay in the front.
If you carry lots of different assortments of weights, though, you should move all that to the back.
I don't. My entire terminal tackle box with jig heads.
It depends on the boat.
My entire terminal tackle box, that box that I just put out, that weighs like, it's probably 6 pounds max, 6 pounds.
Yeah, mine's probably the same thing, I would say. But it's all about leverage too.
And I change, so it's not just about performance, it's about like fishing, right? So I change terminal tackle, like I change hooks like crazy especially when I'm flipping. So having that handy is way more important than getting an extra, what's moving 5 pounds to the back going to do about, like 0.2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
For, in performance. Like sometimes you have to weigh like the pros and cons of like your fishing experience versus your performance of your boat. Right. Like if you're just concerned about 100% about the performance of your boat, that's one thing. But
I'm just stating what a lot of guys are doing. They take their heavy stuff, they move to the back.
I think a lot of people
stuff in the front.
So like I think a lot of people keep a lot more terminal tackle in their boat than I do too. Like Frank used to have like he combined his all his terminal tackle into like this one double-sided box that he got from Academy one time. Dude, that thing weighed like 25 pounds. It was insane. So like I could see something like that, but like that box that I just put together, and which literally has all the terminal tackle that I keep in my boat at any given time. I mean, you can pick it up like this, like no problem. Like it maybe weighs 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe 6. But
probably not even that probably.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent. I mean, it's not light, but it's not heavy. I mean, it doesn't weigh much more than like like my box of deep crankbaits or something like that. It's maybe the weight of like 2 boxes of crankbaits.
Jason, the Amper Times, the Lie Times, they're great batteries, good money savers. I often wonder what the difference is in the companies. Why are some of these other batteries so expensive when you can get a Lie Time for half the cost? Like what's the difference?
It sounds. I mean, when we talked to MillerTech, it seemed like the UL rating. But if these other brands are UL rated, what is that reopens that whole question.
Lie Time is a full prorated warranty,
which means
that sucks. So they have a 5-year warranty, but they have a monthly depreciation fee in their warranty.
Ouch.
Oof.
Yeah. So original product purchase price minus month. This is what if you get a refund, right? If it's greater than 3 months old, if it's less than 3 months, you get 100% refund. Like cool, like no big deal, right? But for returns and exchanges, current product sale price minus original product purchase price minus monthly depreciation fee times product purchase months and minus your one-way return shipping fee.
So it comes down to you're screwed, kind of.
So
I don't see how that's any less than $100 after the first 3 months off.
The shipping fee is what's going to get you.
Yeah, because that's shipping a battery. Like
it wasn't that much. Like I had to ship I paid to ship my Ionic back. It wasn't that much.
I was supposed to ship my Ionic back. They sent me a new one, and I was supposed to ship them the core, and I never did. And they never charged me for it.
Nice.
So at least with Ionic, yeah, some of them are prorated, but like Ionic's full replacement to 5 years, and then after 5 years, it's a prorated. That perfectly acceptable in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, what's up, Brian?
X2s, that 4-year warranty is not prorated. That's a replacement. So that's a good warranty on your, if you're going like AGM. I know most of your higher end batteries are 5-year replacement and then prorated after that. Which, like if I can get 5 years out of the battery, like I feel like I did because I run the shit out of my boat. Mm-hmm. And I am steady on the trolling motor.
I want it.
I just find I think it's funny. Chad's always like, oh, you don't need more than why would you need more than a 50 amp hour? I have a 50 amp hour for my John boat, and like I've never took it past like 90%. I was like, I took my 100 amp hours to 24% in an 8-hour tournament.
It's a much bigger boat.
Well, and a lot of it has to do with the style of fishing too, right? I stand on the trolling motor. Like I am constantly moving. I don't really sit still. I don't stay in one spot and really fish one spot and then go to another spot and then fish that spot. I'm steady standing on the trolling motor when I'm flipping, steady standing on the trolling motor when I'm throwing a crankbait. I cover tons of water, and that's just how I fish. And then it gets doubled when I fish someplace like Conowingo that has a lot of current.
Yeah.
Because I'm always, to be fishing it correctly, I always have to be going up current. So now it's doubled, right? And that's what happened was, the day that I ran it down that low, was I was fishing.
I'm not completely convinced that's the only way to fish either, though, because you know how many times I've caught fish throwing with the current instead of against it.
No, it's
well, like you're I guess you're throwing up into it. But
yeah, you're throwing up into the current and bringing it back with the current.
I've caught a lot of fish doing that too.
That's the way you should be fishing. Versus throwing down current and bringing it up.
That's what I mean. Throwing down current.
I've caught fish doing that too, but
I've caught a lot of fish doing that as well.
I've probably caught 10 to 1. Like if you look at total numbers.
But you're fishing. That's just how you fish too.
So when you're fishing
and that's the right way to fish.
When you're fishing like tidal water, it's
relative.
sometimes you're, I fished a lot from the back of the boat, and like me and Frank were catching them against the current one day out on the flats just because we couldn't cast the way we wanted to, and we still caught fish. Like it wasn't a big deal. It was just the wind was blowing like 25 miles an hour, so like casting like into the current. Like your bait went 10 feet. Right. Trying to throw a spinnerbait in 25 mile an hour, like into 25 mile an hour wind just does not work.
Jason, you ran 100 amp down to 10% in Kissimmee. Did you notice a difference in your power delivery?
Yeah, how was Kissimmee, by the way? How'd that end up? I don't think we heard.
He did not do very well.
Oh,
but he had a great time, and he can't wait for the next one.
Hell yeah.
And that's all that matters.
True. Yeah, Fishing for Dollars says natural presentations cast upstream. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. That's I'm all about that. It's not that you, like I said, it's not that you can't catch fish the other way, but fishing is about percentages, right? Putting your bait where you have the best possibility of catching a fish. Yep. So if I can make more casts with a higher percentage throughout the day, then I have a better chance of catching more fish. Or you just go out in the middle of the lake.
Thanks for the like, Chaz.
Yeah, Kissimmee was like not my favorite place to fish in Florida. I never really figured it out when we were down there.
So I will.
It's a big place too.
I will tell you, Jason picked the wrong lake.
What lake? I'm just curious.
I don't remember which one he was fishing.
Because there's you got Toho, Big and Little Toho, Cypress, and then Kissimmee. Not including the canals that go between.
He was in another one.
Oh,
I hadn't even heard of it, but it's still part of the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Jim. It's poker. It's it's playing the odds. And that's it's funny. I always tournament fishing is very comparable to poker. It's it's one of those things that it's like 80 to 90% skill and 10 to 20% luck.
Yeah.
That 80 to 90% skill is going to get you on 5 good fish, but the luck is getting that 8-pounder.
Yep.
That gives you the win.
It's like Hatch.
It is just what it is.
Did you stay at Camp Mac? It's a great place to stay if you're going down to Kissimmee.
I think they had a house.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think they a bunch of them were together. But yeah, I mean, there's. Yeah, as far as your lithium batteries go, I tell this to people. A lot of people on the Skeeter Facebook page ask, hey, is it I got this trolling motor as a 50 amp. Can I get away with 350 amp hours? It depends on how you fish. If you fish a lot of current, if you're somebody like me who covers a lot of water, that might not work for you.
Depends on how your setup is too. If you got running a really heavy, running a light John boat,
exactly.
You're freaking go all day long.
Your boat, your style of fishing, the conditions that you fish, all of that matters. So to me, I would rather have more than I need than less, right? I wouldn't want I have not, since I got the new boat, I haven't really ran them down. I think 67% was the lowest I got in a tournament. And that was when I ran from the bush over to the gunpowder. And I literally fished the entire tournament day in the gunpowder without firing out my big motor.
Did see Wheeler killing it down there with all them bigs.
Oh, dude, Wheeler is smoking them.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch the other day. It really, really, I don't watch MLF too often. Like if it's on, like, and nothing else is on, like, I'll throw it on and watch it while I'm working. Dude, Wheeler was absolutely smoking them. In like one of the ways that I like to fish, which was flipping reeds.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
he caught 2 8-pounders.
Wow.
On Thursday, yesterday he caught 2 8-pounders.
Damn.
Or an 8 something and a 7.15.
Where's that? Florida?
Yeah, they're on the Apopka, what Hershey.
Oh, cool.
Hey, homie.
He said major fish kill.
Crazy major fish kill on the lake. Thousands of dead fish. Thousands, and he killed it. Yeah, I saw something about a big fish kill there.
Is that because they're spraying?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I did see something about a big fish kill down there. I saw somebody posting it on Facebook.
I think they're saying it has to do with the Fish and Wildlife spraying the lakes, but I don't know. I mean, I know that like they have to spray some of those places too, but it's like,
oh man, we could get $1,000 per stream.
Yeah, allegedly, it's definitely not a bot,
Wow.
dude.
That's,
It's like when that hot girl.
that doesn't sound like a scam at all.
It's like when a hot girl on Facebook messaging you is like, "Hey, I would like to have your credit card number. Let's go on a date, but you have to give me your credit card first."
Right.
That sounds legit.
Jason said they sprayed 2 weeks ago, Harris chain. So probably does have something to do with it. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the bullshit, the absolute dog shit that DNR in various states has been just been doing in general, and that goes Maryland, Florida, Alabama. There has just been so.
Yeah, it's been a lot of garbage. I mean, like the licenses and shit they're trying to do here.
So we got license increases here for like a crap ton, right? Like I don't trout fish much in Maryland anymore, but occasionally I go over to the gunpowder, the catch and return area, and fish for real trout, not stupid stock trout. Trout stamp's $20 now.
Yeah,
Or the proposed is going to be $20. $20 for a freaking trout stamp.
Yep.
Just so I can actually fish, legally fish for trout in a catch and return trout stream. Stupid. The senior license proposal more than double.
Yep.
So it's just ridiculous.
Or what if you're grandfathered in? Will they get grandfathered in? Do the seniors have to buy a license every year?
They do now. Some were grandfathered in, or maybe that was hunting.
Okay.
There was a like a lifetime senior license, but I can't remember. I think it might have been just for hunting. Alabama has this Coosa River bullshit going on. Florida is constantly spraying grass and not saying that spraying all grass or it should be banned, because some of it is invasive and they want to control it, and I understand that, but the guys that spray they get paid to spray. They do not care what they spray.
Yeah.
No, that trout fishing, it goes into stocking trout, which I don't care personally. I don't care about. I shouldn't have to buy a trout stamp to support a stocking program to fish catch and return rivers and streams that have breeding populations of fish that don't get stocked. They're all wild trout streams. Bullshit. I hate it. But all the spraying. Right, exactly, Jason. They spray everything. They do the same thing in New York. They kill all the grass. And it's mostly like New York. It's because some stupid ass homeowner bought a house on a lake, built a dock, and said, "Oh, I don't like that there's grass in the lake. I don't want it around my dock." So then they end up because that person has money, they end up spraying the grass in the lake, which kills the fishing.
Yep.
there's so many stupid decisions that are made by the various natural resources departments or fish and wildlife departments throughout the country that just piss me off. And I'm not saying that they don't do some good, they don't have some good programs, but I mean,
Didn't Deep Creek spray at a point?
So they didn't spray. They just because they don't really have to spray because they drain because they pull the lake level down. So that controls a lot of the like shoreline grass. But I think they have sprayed. Jason said they sprayed at Centennial. I mean, like it's ridiculous that like people think that every lake should be crystal clear, or, with no grass in it, and it should look like a swimming pool. That's not how ecosystems work. And it's a lot of things that I've heard in the last couple of weeks from some of this Alabama stuff is just really struck a nerve with me, because nobody really cares about the fishery. They care about what they want to use the fishery for.
Well, yeah, I know a lot of it comes down to like pleasure boaters. My uncle told me that one time
jet skis.
Yeah. My uncle told me that back in the day they did spray like Dundee and Saltpeter like back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because people were complaining that the grass was getting into their propellers and shit like that.
And jets, and you can't run jet ski, right? And jet skis are, I have nothing against jet skiers. I generally don't have issues with jet skiers around here. Well, of course, the only people that are ever around was like Adam. So, he's always fun to watch anyway.
He's definitely
trying to do like flips and stuff.
He's definitely passed me in the channel with Joppa before on a jet ski.
But okay, so
what's up, Larry?
There's, you have 5,000 acres of lake, but you have an issue. You want a jet ski here. So you want to destroy the ecosystem of the lake because you don't want to go 300 yards farther away to jet ski where the water's deeper and there's no grass.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that really, really ticks me off.
Probably more boat traffic.
I mean, doesn't that make it more fun when you're jet skiing?
True.
Yeah.
Like if I want to jet ski, like I want to hit boat wakes. I thought that was the whole point of jet skiing.
Yeah.
Unless you're on one of those like crazy like super like turbocharged Sea-Doos.
Introduce gators to local waters up there. That shit'll stop. Yeah, they'll die the first winter, so that won't work.
Yeah, that would suck. But anyway, that's my rant for the day. Just some stuff that I wanted to air out, because it seems like people don't really care about the fishery. Did you see?
Son of a bitch.
Did you see the other thing that Maryland DNR put out?
No.
The live scope survey?
No. What? No.
I read something about it.
What is this?
I saw it and right away was like, "This is stupid."
Tell me why they want to. Tell me why they want to know how many people are using LiveScope.
So they can fucking ban it, or they can make you buy a fucking stamp for it to use.
So, a freaking stamp.
I will not buy it.
So the idea, from what I was told, was they just want to see how many people are using it, so that they can kind of get ahead of the research to see if it is actually...
You guys are killing our fish population.
Right. To see if it is impacting fish populations. Because there is one state that they did change their creel limits on crappie.
Wasn't that like Missouri or something?
Yeah. I think it was Missouri.
Yeah.
They changed their creel limit on crappie because...
People were just going out there and wrecking them.
Yeah.
Or I think it was a lot of the old guys that were bitching about it, honestly.
It's freaking old guys that are out there filling their freaking live wells with them.
Well,
the problem and creel limit is the responsible harvest is something that a lot of people who
that's overlooked in bass fishing.
Who catch and keep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
don't know how to do. Like if your limit is 30, 30 crappie, right? Like there are guys that will go out there and literally catch 30 crappie every day and then just have a freezer full of crappie and then half of it gets freezer burn anyway and has to be thrown out.
Yep.
Like that's not responsible harvest.
Yep.
Like if you want to go out there, like I have no problem with if you want to go out there and keep 5 bass because you're going to have a fish fry and you have a bunch of people, like that's fine. Like I don't care. Just be responsible with your harvest.
Yep.
Don't go out there and catch five bass, today. Go out and catch 5 bass tomorrow. Go out and catch 5 bass the next day. Go out and catch 5 bass the next day. Like
Jason,
it's not responsible.
Most bass are mostly catch and release, but to maintain a healthy population and to maintain healthy fish growth, there is a point into where you should take.
Yeah, depending on the populations.
Depending on the population. Personally, I think sometimes Joppa is at that point. We have so many 1 and 2 pounders in there that they're just fighting over bait at that point.
Yep.
It's like we need to actually not.
Jim, I did take the live scope survey, and I definitely answered that no, it does not help me locate fish. No, it does not help me catch fish.
We're almost done.
So the survey basically says, like, do you catch more fish because of live scope? Does live scope help you locate fish? And I answered a no for every single one of them.
That's a lie.
I'm like, yeah, fuck the survey. Nope. The only thing I answered yes to was, do you use live scope? I was like, yes.
Right.
Our creel reports are down 50% from last year and more since prior years. So like your creel reports or your creel limits? Or is it because there are less fish being caught or less people keeping fish?
I got a
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes like into it, but I just don't trust. Like I don't trust Maryland DNR. Like period.
No, I don't either.
Because of things that they have done in the past, and knowing that personal relationships get farther than common sense.
Oh, you're talking the speed limit in Joppa specific. That's a good example.
I'm not mentioning anything specific.
I will. I'll mention that. How about the fact that
there's more there's more that's happened because of that.
Yeah.
There's more than that.
Well, how about
personal relationships get farther than common sense when it comes to making regulations. And that's all. And I'll leave it to that.
I'll go a step further. There was a legitimate push probably 3 or 4 years ago to get a speed limit of 30 miles an hour through Days Cove, which is for those of you that aren't from this area, Days Cove is it's a big flat that you have. It's not only easier, it's safer and more efficient to run on plane across it because it's like 2 feet deep. And there's certain times where if you're in there, or in order to get across it, the only way is to run it. Like you're not going to putt across it without dragging your mud or the bottom of your boat. So
you're either running you're either running it or you're trolling motoring out.
Right.
Like,
and it's not like a lot of shit to hit either. It's just a mud flat. So it's not like a dangerous thing. So there was and we had with Scott Sewell a couple years ago, and he actually talked about it, but there was a meeting and they held a vote, and it was 9 in favor, 1 not in favor of passing a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit in this area. And because the 1 not in favor wasn't it? Why? But it was 9-1, right?
It was 9-1.
Yeah.
So it was passed from that committee.
Okay.
It went to the secretary of DNR, who then vetoed it.
What, isn't it because he's friends with the guy that owns the one dock in there that bitched and cried about it?
She has a personal relationship. She had. I'm not sure if she's still the secretary. She had a personal relationship with the person who made the original complaint.
Oh, well, there you have it.
We have a 25 mile per hour on the entire lake, period, but no one can read signs.
I'd take 25 miles an hour in Days Cove all day. All day. Just enough to plane across it. And I'll tell you right now.
Like, 25 miles per hour is hard, like in my boat. My boat does not like going 25.
I know that
30, 35 I can do, but like 25 is really, really hard for me to do without like porpoising like crazy.
So we all know, if you're in tune or in this area, we know who the guy or the individual is who complained about it. So during the week when I go back to fish the pond, I'm definitely on plane, and I'll get like one of these, and I just wave, "Hey, how's it going? Good to see you."
I don't
go
ever
right
even,
fucking by. I don't give a shit.
I don't ever even see the people there.
So in all of the years that I have been fishing the Gunpowder and running back there, and this was a safety issue because there are kids in canoes out here all the time. Like,
I've seen them twice.
I fish the Gunpowder four times a week for the last 10 years. I've seen one time that there were kids in canoes at that camp. I've never seen a person in that camp, around that camp, in 10 years.
By the way, the camp is right next to a literal dump. It's literally right next to a dump that leaks whatever the hell it leaks into the river all day, and they're worried about
That
people
makes sense.
speeding.
Jim said they did it on purpose. It says 25, knowing they're going to do 35 anyway. But if they put it at 40, they'll just do 80.
Yeah,
That would be Tony.
probably. But yeah, I've seen them like maybe 2 or 3 times, and I have one time I did get one of these, like a "Hey, slow down." I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Just waved, hit the throttle a little harder, fuck out of the way.
Wait till the bullet goes past.
Well, the thing of it is those
If
kids.
I slow down, like if I'm running on plane, I'm going to throw a lot less wake than if I'm idling through there.
That's like, imagine if you're doing
Like if you want the kid to get dumped off their kayak, I'll go through at 6 mile an hour.
Oh yeah.
Like because I will throw a wake at 6 mile an hour.
Well,
Especially when I was in the champion. That champion at 6 mile an hour would throw.
It's like
giant fucking.
Imagine taking your kids on a field trip to like the side of I-95 and it's like, oh, 10 mile an hour speed limit on 95. Like, no, dude, get the hell out of the road. Like, get out of the way. It's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Right, Jason. Jason is a kayak fisherman. Like he would rather you stay on plane because I'm not going to throw as big a wake if I stay on plane. If I slow down, like if I think it's too narrow, I will slow. I mean, I will come off plane, like because I don't want to go by you like too close, and idle. I think one thing that we often don't understand when we're trying to be respectful of like other people fishing, or a kayak is. People think 6 mile an hour is idle speed.
No, it's not at all. 6 mile an hour, you're throwing a wake at 6 miles an hour.
Right. So like I will, occasionally like if I don't think it's safe to run by, say Jason's out there fishing. If I don't think it's safe, I'll sit down and get off plane, well before him and idle past him. And idle is like 2 to 3 miles an hour.
I got into it with a guy on Broad Creek one time.
Same thing with somebody fishing. Like I'm going to do the same thing for somebody fishing.
Fierce yak fish. Thanks for joining, brother.
Yes. I mean, not currently because it's cold as balls, but still plenty of snakeheads around.
I got into it with a dude in Broad Creek one time. I was idling. It was like on a Saturday, and there wasn't a tournament. I was just out there screwing around, and there was a guy on the end of his dock, just like working on his dock, and I was doing 5.5 miles an hour, not even 6, 5.5, and went by, and he's like, that's a hell of a wake. It says no wake. I said, actually, asshat, it says 6. I'm doing 5.5. Okay, and if you knew anything, you would know that the faster I go approaching 6 is going to throw a bigger wake than if I was truly idling or on plane. I'm well within the law, so deal with it. Don't buy a house on Broad Creek next time. Like, I'm sorry, dude. It says 6 mile an hour. I'm under the speed limit. Sorry.
Broad Creek says no wake. It doesn't say 6.
I thought it was 6.
No,
I must be thinking. I'm thinking of someone else because it was definitely. You know what it
Broad
was?
Creek is no wake.
It was
from the very mouth.
Tidings, because tidings is 6.
No wake also.
Tidings is 6.
Tidings is no wake.
Are you sure? Yeah. I could have sworn it's 6.
It's 6 outside of the marina. Inside the marina, it's no wake.
I can't remember where the hell it was.
I just think that
it was somewhere where it was clearly 6, and I was like, dude, get the hell out of here, because I was doing 5.5, knowing that it was a 6, and some
that
dudes
marker
said
Billy
something.
at one point definitely said 6 knots, but
Where?
they might have changed it.
Which one at Tidings?
At Tidings.
So it's 6 knots going out. Inside the two buoys,
I
it's
know
no
for
wake.
a fact when I was going from one side through Tidings to the other, it said 6 knots at one point.
It's 6 knots on the outside. When you get inside, it's no wake. There's a no wake sign on the metal. It's not in the water. It's on the metal. That.
What about when you're
thing
coming
out
in
there?
from the one coming in from the back channel? Says 6.
The one coming in from the back channel?
It says 6.
It may say 6, but the one inside of Tidings says no wake.
Yeah, if you're coming in from the flats.
Like,
So-
no, the
Is
one
that-
inside,
so
right
is-
out, like in between.
Is that
the
an official
old dock and the new
marker, or
dock.
is that what just the marina put?
No,
there?
that's no wake. They'll
that's
ticket. They'll ticket you for it.
I watched a guy run through it one time, like run through the whole thing, like plane through Tidings, like just got
No
to the
shit,
corner.
really?
Oh, it was crazy in a wrap boat and everything. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? It was wild.
Was it like-
It
was
was
it like an alley?
No, it was egregious. It was egregious. I can tell you that. It was like I was in there fishing and then I heard it and I was like.
Like I
I
just,
guess that guy got set down. As,
which is fine. Like, like going through Tidings. Like I'm gonna slow down. Like I have no problem, slowing down and not throwing a wake on people's boats. Be respectful, right?
Right.
And most of those people that I've ever dealt with have always been respectful. One dude gave me some shit one time because I came in a little hot, and it was my fault, right? Like I when I came off plane, I was like almost to the dock, right? So I threw, and it threw a pretty big wake. And he just came out and said, hey, you coming in a little hot, and he started to get a little shitty, and I'm like, dude, like, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I understand. I misjudged where I was coming off plane, and he's like, that's cool. Just slow down. Like, and he calmed down. Like, I get that he was mad that I threw a giant wake into his boat. Like, I understand that. Like, I try to be respectful to everybody on the water. Just like I don't, like, if I'm fishing somebody's dock and I get hung up, I'm going to go in and do whatever I can to get my, to get my bait back so that I'm not leaving lures in their, in their dock.
I've got on people's docks and taken.
how about
Right.
the? How about
I do that shit all the time.
How about the no wake zones at Anna in the canals? They're not actual no wake zones.
What canals?
Go between like
in
pool
the
2 and
canals
3.
between the pools.
Oh, fuck them people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Like, so if you want me to, like, I'm not idling through there.
right.
Like, it just says no wake. Those are the people that put, like, slap the no wake, like, on their house.
Right, or on the dock.
Because they're mad that their shit keeps getting blasted.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, like, you shouldn't have you shouldn't have put a dock in a lake that has boat traffic.
I mean, that's just kind of how I feel in general.
Right.
But I guess if you're like back at a marina, though, like nobody's gonna go one plane back through freaking Rumsey.
Yeah. If you're in a marina, like, that's one thing. Like, I'm gonna,
saw a
I'll
jet
be
ski do it
respectful.
once.
But
Hey, see you, Jason.
like, if you just buy a house and build a dock, like, say, like, on the canal, right? If you buy a house and then you build a dock there and then you expect everybody to slow down because you built a dock there, yeah, you can fuck right off.
Josh says no wake means run it and throw a ripple. I mean, look, no wake. I didn't throw a wake on plane. I threw a ripple on plane. Like, that's. I wonder how that would end up with in an interaction with a DNR officer.
So the official not good at all.
It'd
The
be funny.
official definition for no wake is if you look back and you if your ripples are cresting, like if they're breaking over, you're throwing a wake. That's
okay.
That's the official definition.
Well, shit.
Which
I don't-
usually happens at about 4 miles an hour.
depends on the boat too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just generalizing. It's like buying a house next to an airport and then bitch about noise from the planes. Exactly.
I was gonna bring up the Nanacoke. Dustin brought up a good
Nanacoke
comment.
has a bunch of official wake zones too.
And that shit is not marked good at all.
No, it is not. Broad Creek is where the like crazy ones are.
Yeah,
that like aren't really
yeah.
marked well.
Yeah.
Like not our broad, like Nanacoke.
Nanacoke broke. Yeah.
It's not marked well at all down there.
The most annoying no wake zone is the sassafras. That's the worst one. Oh. Because it legitimately.
Takes like 10 minutes to go through there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bad. It's
I feel
really
like it
annoying.
takes 10 minutes to get from the ramp out of freaking out of the gunpowder.
It takes 10 minutes to get to the bridge.
Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah, like if you idle all the way out to the bridge.
Yeah.
I think it takes 10 minutes.
I think it's longer than in the sass because it's got to be.
It's pretty long.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
annoying. Like it's
long.
really really annoying.
Imagine the people that are coming from the back of the marina, like to go all the way out to the
Oh, yeah.
bridge. Dude, they're
Takes like
freaking
half
half an hour.
I'll tell you what. And in the sassafras,
The sassafras is really long. I mean,
and the
that's
man is there every weekend.
that is a
Every
On
weekend.
the sass.
Every
yeah.
weekend.
The 6 mile an hour zone on the Sass is way longer than Joppatown.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like when you go there the first time, you see like in the middle of the river, there's like a random buoy,
And it's from that buoy all the way to the drawbridge.
Yeah, and it's like, what the hell was that buoy? Oh, did that say
And
no
then just
wake?
past the drawbridge to the first point.
Now that's a
where the
6
duck blind
mile an hour zone. I don't think it's no wake. I think it's 6 mile an hour.
is. The whole thing's 6 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a crazy long 6 mile
Yeah,
an
it's
hour zone.
really, really annoying.
That's one of the reasons I don't fish the Sass as much. Because all the places I like to fish are up there.
Right.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of our time for tonight. We've been almost going on for 3 hours now. And yeah. This was a good show. Good fun
Little
show.
shenanigans.
Little shenanigans. We love the shenanigans. So what do we have? Do you have drill next week?
No.
No, next week we'll be at
Going
Anna.
to Anna.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be at Anna.
One beer too many.
I'll be at Anna. Tony will be at Anna.
It's supposed to dump a lot of snow.
Is that going to stop you, Tony?
The snow?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. See?
If anything, honestly, I might just take off.
You're gonna drive through 14 inches of snow.
It's not. We're not getting 14 inches of snow.
That's what they're calling for.
You're lying.
It depends on
that's
which
what
model
they're
you
calling
look at. One model says 7. One model says 15.
When's it start?
Thursday.
What time?
All day.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm saying.
That
Well,
is brutal.
yeah, but by the time I leave at like 4 o'clock, like roads are gonna be plowed. Like
Maybe
Unless it's still snowing.
it'll still be but they're gonna plow throughout the day. Like it'll be fine.
they can't keep up with that much snow.
It'll be fine.
That's gonna be annoying.
It depends on if maybe it dumps it all
I
in
don't
the
feel
morning.
like I'm like. Do I want to go fish? Yeah. Do I want to go fishing enough to like possibly wreck my boat? No.
Would you go
No, I don't.
snowboarding in that?
Yeah, but I'm not pulling a $50,000 boat behind me.
It's not. I mean, have you went snowboarding in that?
Oh hell yeah.
Did you almost die while you were driving? One time.
Couple times.
For me, it might be a just go down Friday when the roads are better type of thing.
Yeah, like worst case
Just-
scenario
yeah, I'll
is
just
you
have
go
to.
down Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
If we do that,
I'll
we'll
drive
just
down the
figure it
snow.
out.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't want to drive down in the snow because I know a 2-hour trip's going to become a 5-hour trip,
Exactly.
and I will get
It's like
very irritated.
It's like trading off. It's like it's going to take 5 hours. If you leave at 4 o'clock, it's going to take 5 hours anyway. But without snow, but you're stuck in traffic.
If we're going down there on Thursday,
If there's snowing, there's no
dead-ass
traffic,
early
but
in
it
the
still
fucking
takes you 5 hours.
or it'll still be traffic and it'll be way worse.
Right, you can't run 80 all the way there. You're going to be doing 50. If
Exactly.
you're lucky, you're pulling a boat. You're probably not even going to be doing 50.
Yeah, but there's going to be accidents and shit. Like,
I'd be so scared of somebody just not being able to stop and slide into the back of the boat or something.
I don't care how good your insurance is. That's a season ruiner at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
if
going-
your boat gets hit in February, you're not getting that shit back till June. If
Yeah.
you have a good place that's going to do it for you quickly.
So
Which we
let's
do.
check
we
the
do,
old
yeah.
weatherchannel.com. Weather. I can't type. Apparently.
I mean, scuba's not coming down until Saturday morning anyway, so I mean, I don't really. Whatever.
If I'm paying for 3 nights, I'm getting 3 nights.
He's so handsome. Such a handsome boy.
Oh,
I mean, I'm going to, we'll see how it goes. I mean, because it's still plenty of time. And the weather
I will
people
go
are
park-
liars.
I would take 5 hours to
They
drive.
don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I'll take 5 hours to drive down there, park my boat in the driveway, go to El Patron, and get hammered.
That would be fun.
That does sound awesome.
So Thursday, let's check just to check another forecast.
It's almost,
So
Jim says, "I wish I'd get hit."
So
on the
one-
boat.
one forecast I looked at said 11 inches, and then weather.com says 1 to 3.
I believe
just too far out.
Yeah, it's too far out. I believe
It's too far
one-
out.
The weather people lie more.
It's just something
than,
to take into consideration right now. I just
Weather
think
people
about it.
lie more than people that say they have a 12-inch unit. Like, it's not possible.
It's
You're a
not that
liar.
it's not that they lie; they're just wrong.
Yes.
It's like, it's like the only. What do they say? It's like the only job in the world where you get paid to be right half the time.
Right.
Not even.
Right. So anyway, I think we're gonna rock and roll for the evening. Thanks everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it.